Prices guaranteed. And with over 100 stores from Connecticut to Maine, we'll beat anybody's price. Other dealers, we beat them. Warehouse clubs, we beat them. Online sites, we beat them all every day. So remember, for the absolute guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires, nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Discount prices, Town Fair.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
This crowd rising to its feet in a collective frenzy with the Pacers attempting to go up 2-1 and now officially are up 2-1 as time has run out. Boy, Oklahoma City had the lead in the fourth quarter, but as is their custom, the Pacers rallied and were able to finish this one off 116 to 107. They have a 2-1 lead in the series.
Welcome in, Maggie and Perloff show. Maggie is out today. EJ Stewart is sitting in the big chair, and you're going to hear a lot of "I told you so" from EJ because I've been saying that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to roll in this series. I think did you pick the Thunder, EJ, or did you pick?
I picked the Thunder in 6.
Okay. Yeah. So the Indiana Pacers jump out to a 2-1 lead, and we're going to break down the game. To me, the Pacers did a great job. Credit Andrew Nembhard for his Tasmanian Devil defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Rick Carlisle outcoached Mark Daigneault big time. Yep. But I cannot look at that game and say what happened to the energy of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It looked from the get-go, even when they were winning in the first half, they looked disinterested. They looked tired. They were 3 times. They threw an inbounds pass off of a made basket straight to the Pacers, and the Pacers weren't even really pressing. That if I was a coach, I would have pulled every guy who threw that pass out of the game immediately, except for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I thought that Mark Daigneault panicked because the Pacers had an early bench run, and then Daigneault, the coach of the Thunder, said, "I'm not going to use my bench guys." So then what happened was your starters played more minutes than they're used to. They looked very tired by the end, and the Pacers just rolled in the fourth quarter.
To remix a quote from the former Miami Hurricanes coach, Manny Diaz, this is what the Pacers do to you. And to me, if you've watched the Indiana Pacers all season, this really shouldn't be that surprising. If you watch them during the playoffs, it shouldn't be that surprising. This is what they do. They hit you, they hit you, they hit you, and you feel like, you know what, this team isn't that overly talented, and we feel like we should be fine. But the problem is, it's death by 10,000 paper cuts, and we're wearing these teams out. They're wearing the Thunder out, and they wore them out in that game, too.
Isn't that the Thunder's MO as well? I thought, they actually said death by 1,000 paper cuts about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's offensive game last night. That's a Thunder. Why are you wearing out? The one thing, the Thunder are the deepest team in the NBA. So I thought that wasn't going to happen here. I thought Indiana, and we all said this was a better matchup with Oklahoma City because they went 10 deep, where the Knicks, who are very talented but are very thin, they really only go 6 deep. But the Thunder have the best bench in the NBA. Where was it last night?
Well, Daigneault shortened the bench, right? You only got 10 minutes from Wiggins. You only got 4 minutes from Isaiah Joe, and you got 2 minutes from Kenrich Williams. And I think what you notice in the playoffs, especially during these NBA finals, is that role players are much better at home than they are on the road. Oh, yeah. And I think that Daigneault saw that second quarter where Mathurin and McConnell just went crazy on them. Benedict Mathurin had 14 points in the second quarter. I think McConnell had 4 assists. And he said, I don't trust these guys. Yep. And that ended up really playing to the Pacers' advantage, because what you saw in that fourth quarter, just nothing from Chet, who was great in the first quarter but had 0 in the fourth quarter. Yep. Nothing from Jalen Williams, and nothing from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who to me was not aggressive and settled for some really bad twos.
Well, yeah, but did you notice that the Pacers changed up their defense on him in a major way? They watched the tape, I think, of the Thunder against Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards got picked up 94 feet against Oklahoma City. That's exactly what they did last night. They were bugging him from the get-go.
But that's how the Pacers play. That's what
but they were doing it the first 2 games. I noticed. I'm like, they're letting Shai. They're not pressuring Shai until he gets into the top of the 3-point line, and it's killing them. And it was last night they did.
Yeah, it was silly because to me, if you watch the Pacers, they did that to Donovan Mitchell. They did that to Jalen Brunson. That is what they do to star guards. I don't know if it's because Shai is taller. I don't know if it's because they feel like Shai is such a foul baiter that maybe they felt like they would get in foul trouble. But whatever they thought, Rick Carlisle said, you know what, we're going to go to what we do, which is we're going to full court press. We're going to wear these guys out. And it's working. And I think that when you look at this Indiana Pacer team, I just don't know how anybody could be underestimating them at this point anymore. They are not necessarily a star-driven team, so to speak, in terms of the biggest names, but they got a lot of good ball players, and they play like a team, which is what's going to make them dangerous for the rest of these finals.
Yeah, but I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, you could say all those things about them. I know they have a transcendent star, the MVP in SGA, but they play like a team too. And last night, it was the turnovers. I mean, what are they? They were just Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was 6 turnovers. Some of them incredibly lazy.
Yeah,
like just dude. There was a play where Jalen Williams was getting pressed, and he clearly should have passed the ball, but he tried to make a point of I can dribble out of this, and of course he got the ball stolen. There were so many little plays that the Thunder did that I think they want back. I think they want that whole game back because they had the lead most of the game. Lou Dort was hitting his threes.
Yep.
SGA was hitting his shots. Jalen Williams was hitting his shots. As you mentioned, Chet Holmgren had a good first half. I think, but you saw sort of the seeds of the loss early in the game because it was the loose balls and the turnovers. The energy was all about the Pacers. It's not just that this is a young team on the road. Like you could feel that they didn't have the confidence that they have in OKC.
Yeah, as the game got tighter, they got tighter.
Yeah.
Free throw, they were
the
6
free
from
throws.
the free throw line in the fourth quarter is not going to get it done either. And I thought that the Pacers, to me, looked poised throughout. Anytime OKC made a run, you never saw them panic. And to me, I think the key to this series, besides turnovers, Pacers won a turnover battle last night as well, is how aggressive Tyrese Haliburton is. If Tyrese Haliburton is going to decide that he's going to be just a guy who's just going to stand in the corner, throw the pass, and then just run around, they don't have a shot. They need somebody who's going to put pressure on the Oklahoma City Thunder defense. When you have pressure coming at you, you got to attack them with pressure. I thought Haliburton was aggressive all night, getting downhill. He forced the OKC Thunder to pressure him and come at him, and then it allowed him to get early assists. And then when the fourth quarter came, he was able to hit some step back threes because then that was opened up. I think when he's aggressive, the Pacers are an entirely different team. They're way more dangerous when he's looking for his shot, and he did last night.
Well, actually, it's funny because he did not shoot a lot in the first quarter.
Right.
He didn't even take his first shot. And so some people point out, hey, this idea that Tyrese Haliburton has to shoot more. I don't think that's true. And I don't think that's exactly what you're saying because he wasn't shooting a lot at all.
It's about aggression. It's not even so much about shots. There was too many times in the first 2 games where it felt like he was so happy with just simply just running the offense, just throw the ball to somebody else and cut.
Right.
And he wasn't really trying to be aggressive. He wasn't forcing the action. And you got to be careful with the Thunder because you force too much. That's when they hound you and they get those turnovers.
Yeah.
I think in some ways he was giving the Thunder almost too much credit defensively. He's an all-star guard. Like, he's got to attack them.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, but to me, that is not the storyline of the game because Haliburton had 22 points last night.
Right.
He went over 30 twice against the Knicks. I mean, it was, to me, that was the bench. That was one man fueling this energy drive from the bench. It was TJ McConnell getting everyone fired up. I think it was not Tyrese Haliburton in the starting lineup. It wasn't Miles Turner who had 5 blocks. I think it was the bench changed the tone of that game because they out-energied the OKC bench, and which was shocking. There was one little sub that it's a small thing. I thought that Dagnall should have played Isaiah Joe more. Yeah, I don't know why. Definitely. Because he can hit a 3-point shot. Alex Caruso's guy was clearly shading onto SGA all night long. They don't have any concern about Alex Caruso. It's an offensive player. So the OKC have to go back to the drawing board.
This is something to me that it bothers me with a lot of NBA coaches, and I'm a big fan of Dagnall. Yep. But to me, you can't overreact to one bad quarter, one bad stretch. Like, to me, that second quarter, like, Isaiah Joe is probably their worst defensive player. And he made some shots. I think he was 2 for 2 in the game. But the defense struggled.
2 for 2 from 3, by the way.
Exactly. He made 2 threes. He's an excellent shooter.
Then they call it a weak foul on him. Yeah. And they lost the confidence.
Then that was it. And to me, like, the second quarter, Dagnall panicked. And then he didn't have any more trust in some of those guys on the bench. I agree. I think that, to me, besides Dort, it seemed like no one else really could relieve any pressure from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from 3. Joe can hit a shot, so I think he should have played as well. Yeah. I guess my question is, you talked about it at the top, where it was like, EJ will say, I told you so. And I will say, I told you so. And I will say that they called me a madman. But can you now finally admit that the Eastern Conference is not a JV league?
No.
The Indiana Pacers were up 2-1 against a team that you said was a coming dynasty, a team that you said could get.
Yes.
They were going to potentially sweep this series. And now the Pacers, who you underestimated, are in the driver's seat in these NBA Finals.
No, I'm not going to give you that. I'll tell you why. Because I'm watching Shams come out before the game and describe all these stars who are migrating from the East to the West.
I'm talking about right now. Forget about the offseason. You said coming into the season. You kept saying the records, 50 wins. You were talking about stuff that happened during the regular season. You're talking about what's happening in the future.
A couple things here. Are the Indiana Pacers underdogs in the series still? And were they huge underdogs coming in?
Sure, but that doesn't mean anything. They're up in the series.
Was it the biggest win differential between the East and the West since 1995?
I guess so, because I don't know those stats, but I'm sure. But how many of those wins was because of the Thunder? Again, the Thunder were a 68-win team.
Right. That's my point. The Thunder are gigantic favorites in this series. I feel like
do they look like favorites right now?
What's that?
Do they look like favorites? Wait,
They're
did they look like
Vegas
favorites
favorites
last night?
If you're so confident in the Pacers, take your.
It's not about me being confident in the Pacers.
Lofty salary here and put it on the Pacers because I'm telling you, you still have great odds on the Pacers.
I wish it was a lofty salary. I mean, it's not about in terms of my confidence in the Pacers. It was that this idea that the Eastern Conference was going to go up against the mighty OKC Thunder and get completely destroyed.
Yes, that's what everybody thought,
right,
including yourself to some degree.
But it's not happening.
I listen. I understand. It's 2-1 Indiana. I understand that. I'm not arguing. So I'm just saying that this is a gigantic upset. This is a surprise. I think Oklahoma City is just as surprised as I am. I think they looked stunned last night. They looked like a boxer who just got caught by a left hook and had no idea it was coming.
I agree, but again, at a certain point, you got to give the Pacers credit. It can't just be everything about the OKC.
No, the Pacers are great, but I'm just saying I think the West is way better than the East, and I think that varsity JV thing. I mean, look at next year. Next year is going to be ridiculous because the Celtics are dismantling, and Jason Tatum they probably won't have. Who knows? The Cavs might dismantle. So the Pacers are they the dominant team? They only had 50 wins this year. It's very rare for a team with 50 wins. I know they played much better in the second half, but it's very, very rare for a team with that many wins to win the title. And the players they're putting out there are not your typical NBA Finals stars. I know you think TJ McConnell is the second coming of Danny Ainge or something, but he was a scrub in Philadelphia when I had him on the Sixers. He is a second round. There are a lot of role players who are playing way over their head in the Pacers. These for the Pacers. These are not your typical NBA Finals stars. This to me is a Cinderella team.
I don't agree with that assessment though, because the Pacers have veteran leadership. Pascal Siakam is a guy who's an NBA champion. I think he's the only guy on the court that has a ring. So you got him out there, or besides Caruso, of course. You got him out there. You got Haliburton, who's an all-star guard. Miles Turner's been an NBA veteran. He's been a starting center for 10 years.
Miles Turner got his lunch taken by Cat in the round before.
How do you guard Chet in the fourth quarter?
Honestly, Chet's not that good.
What do you mean Chet's not that good?
Chet's not that good.
So wait, how can you? So you started with saying
Chet is a.
So you say it's a JV. So you say the East is a JV league, and you're saying the Thunder are so great. Then I'm saying, well, Miles Turner locked up Chet Holmgren in the fourth quarter. Say, well, Chet's not that good.
Because
maybe the team you kept talking about,
maybe
the Western Conference isn't as great as you think it was.
So so you thought that the odds that were heavily like plus 750 for Oklahoma City, you thought that was a horrible mistake then?
Yes. I said, we've been doing this show. We've been talking behind the glass. How many times have I told you that this is going to be a series? You've been saying this for weeks.
Right. Okay.
And it is.
You have to do a show bet then because you have so much faith in the Pacers. Because you are so. It feels like you're playing Monday morning quarterback on this series.
How am I playing Monday morning quarterback when I've said on this show for weeks?
So are you saying right now,
EJ
conference. Stewart filling in for Maggie Gray? Are you saying right now the series is over and the Pacers are going to win it?
No, I picked the Thunder to win.
So who are you picking today?
Right now, I'm still leaning Thunder.
Okay.
I'm still leaning Thunder. But to me, but again, if the Thunder were playing against a JV team, this series would be over. It would be a 4-game sweep.
I didn't say they were a JV team. I said it's a JV conference.
Right, but you said anybody that came out of the East was going to get slaughtered, and that's just not happening.
And I offered you a gigantic show bet, and you turned it down.
You know why? Because I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm not going to put any kind of faith or any kind of hope or root for the Indiana Pacers. Are you kidding me? I'm watching Reggie Miller sitting there with his kids. The kid's wearing the choke sign shirt. You want me to sit there and wave a yellow towel in my house? Hell no, I'm not doing that.
So okay, that's the question I think. Who's going to win this series? EJ's got OKC. I'm going Pacers.
You're going Pacers now?
Yeah, this is over.
Like, what?
Listen, I was wrong about this series. I think it's reminding me of the Cavs series. I think OKC probably kind of lost it last night.
We're gonna get a text message on Saturday morning from Perloff saying I'm back on the Thunder bandwagon if the Thunder get a win.
I mean I was wrong. I was wrong about this series.
You really think the Pacers are going to win the series now?
I think it's going to be. This is reminding me a lot of the Cavs series.
Cavs Warriors.
The Cavs Pacers series where the Pacers came out throwing punches and the Cavs were shocked by what the Pacers were doing. I just think you saw that Mark Daigneault's not a great coach last night. I think you saw that Alex Caruso is not designed for the series at all. I think they found a formula for SGA. Now, I'm not taking back the take. Like, the West is so much better than the East. That just because the Pacers could win the series does not change that. It's crazy. Next year, it's going to be insane.
I don't know how that doesn't change that. Because, like, literally the team that you said had no chance to win and was a representation of why the Eastern Conference is weak is kicking the ass of the team that won 68 games.
Well, there's 16 teams in both or 15 teams in both conferences. I just think top to bottom, the West is so much better. That doesn't mean that there's not a fluke win, and this is definitely fluky. I mean, this is probably be. I think it's going to be the biggest underdog. If they do win the series, it'll be the biggest underdog, Vegas odds-wise, in 35 years. I mean, it's a huge upset.
I want to send a message to Vegas, though, because and Maggie has said this in this chair, and I think she's been right about this. They have to stop overrating regular season wins and regular season numbers and making that the end-all be-all. We're seeing too often in the playoffs teams that are lower seeds, teams that are advancing deep, teams that are higher seeds getting bounced early in the playoffs. Like the OKC Thunder, I've been on that bandwagon for 2 years, so you know how much I respect that team. But because they kept looking at the win total of one team and the Pacers 50 win total and said, well, that means blowout series. It's like, well, no, look at the matchups. Look at how these teams are playing. The Pacers clearly are not playing like a 50-win team. That's obvious.
Yeah. People who say that Vegas doesn't know what they're doing, to me, are not serious people. Because
do they look like they know what they're doing? The Pacers are in deep, or the Thunder are in deep trouble right now.
Their science on this is so much smarter than these. Take the smartest sports analysts in the history of the world. Take Bob Costas combined with Stephen A. combined with Zach Lowe. Vegas is 100 times smarter than all of them combined. Their numbers are so much more advanced than any analyst. To say Vegas is stupid, to me, immediately you're discounting.
Then how come they didn't predict the Pacers to go to the finals? How come they didn't pick the Mavs to go to the finals last year? How come they didn't pick the Heat, who were an 8th seed, to go to the NBA finals? They've been missing wildly on the NBA playoffs. That's obvious, Pearl.
Oh, my God.
What did I just say that was false? All those things are true.
Well, but generally, their numbers are much more predictive than any analysis. Like their spreads are done very. First of all, they're making spreads to draw people in.
Yeah.
They're not saying who's going to win. They're trying to say how do we get the most action here.
Yeah.
But there's nobody who's smarter than their odds. Like their odds are very, very advanced. How they come up with those. Like to say they're stupid is like I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, but they've made massive mistakes when it comes to predicting outcomes in the playoffs. They may have been able to predict champions like that. I would say that because we've gotten pretty much the favorites every year to win championships. But in terms of teams getting to the finals or advancing, they've wildly missed. Every year in the playoffs, there's been a team that's gone from a Cinderella run all the way to the finals or close to it.
But obviously, though, no individual is smart. Well, except for like betting experts. If you knew all this, then you could win tons of money by betting against Vegas. But obviously you can't because nobody can.
Well, no, but the thing is, I think what you're seeing, and this is something to your point about baseball, is I think the NBA playoffs is becoming a little like baseball, where I do feel like it's a little wild and unpredictable. Like, who would have thought that the Knicks would have beaten the Celtics after losing 4 games to them in the regular season and getting blown out in most of those games? Not me. Like, who would have thought that the Pacers would go on this magical run where they would beat a 1-seed Cavs and then beat the Knicks, who are now healthy after only beating them in 7 games when they were injured last season? Like, it's one of those things where I do feel like it's a lot more unpredictable now than it's ever been.
Okay, so if that's being said, the Oklahoma City Thunder are minus 220 to win the series. The Indiana Pacers are plus 185. It's pretty good odds.
Yeah. So
I will actually front you the money to make a bet on the Pacers. Do you feel confident in that bet because Vegas, quote unquote, doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to this?
No, but I'm saying the Thunder are going to win. I'm staying 10 tones down what I thought was going to happen. I said this was going to be a very competitive series. I said the Thunder would be tested, and I think they will win in 6 games. Now it looked like it might be 7. Like now they got to win 3 games in a row. That sounds a little daunting, but I'm saying that for you, you're the one flipping. You're the one who should take the bet. You're the one who's flipping off the bandwagon already.
You don't think I jumped all over that last hit? I first of all won live betting the Pacers because I saw in the second quarter. I'm like, oh, the Thunder are lackadaisical right now. It was the turnovers underneath the basket. I'm like, what are you doing? Did you party too late last night in Indiana? Like, they just looked tired. They looked like they were not even mentally in the game. It was strange. All right, we want to hear from you. Who's going to win the series? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Can the Pacers take this 2-1 lead all the way to the NBA Finals? All right, coming up next, we have some interesting sound on who is to blame for Oklahoma City's Game 3 loss. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. EJ Stewart in for Maggie, who is off today. She would have liked to be here because I've been saying the Oklahoma City Thunder would win the series easily. Obviously, that is not the case. We were just discussing the break. EJ says the Pacers won the turnover battle. That's what they do. They lost the turnover battle 25-7 in game one. The Oklahoma City Thunder are incredible at creating turnovers. Last night, the script was totally flipped, and they were passing the ball like they just didn't care. What was going on with OKC and the ball handling last night?
Battle of attrition. Again, like this is how the Pacers play. You play early in the series, you feel like a sense of comfort. Even if you drop a game, so you say, okay, we may have outplayed them even though we lost. The problem is the amount of energy it takes to combat what they're doing. It wears on you. And
but the Thunder love a high pace. They are a team that creates more turnovers than anyone. You know, they definitely They won the turnover battles in game one decisively. Game two, they won the turnover battle. They strip everything, and then they got their own medicine last night.
But when you say they like a high pace, they like to run off of causing turnovers. They're not necessarily a team that's pushing off of makes, pushing off of misses. They kind of are a half court team. Like it's about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and how he operates in the half court, and Jalen Williams in the half court. They're not a running gun team. They run off turnovers. The Pacers are running no matter what. It could be a turnover, it could be a miss, it could be a rebound. And when you're having to guard that team, that also affects your offense. Like people think, oh, because like we're a running team, we'll be fine. It's like, well, you have to guard the other team too. So the Pacers are not just wearing you down defensively because of their full court pressing you. They're also running on every single play, and that also takes energy. So when you see the fourth quarter, you say, why are these guys missing shots? Why are they turning the ball over? It's because the Pacers are systematically wearing you down as the game goes on both sides of the ball.
That's what the Thunder do. I mean, the Thunder, by the way, do like pace. They scored 124 in the last win over the T-Wolves, 128 the game before that. They've way over 110. Like they score a ton of points.
Right, but how many of those points are off turnovers?
A ton of them.
Right, that's my point. I'm saying that when
actually,
it comes to pace.
That first game where they lost, they were not actually getting a lot of live ball turnovers. They were all sort of Pacers mistakes that led to inbounds plays and dead ball turnovers. But generally, like Oklahoma City should not be losing the turnover battle decisively. That is way, way out of character.
This series is going to be the shoulda, woulda, coulda for the OKC Thunder, and I'm going to keep repeating. It's like, or the Pacers are good.
So you thought that was in character for the Thunder last night? You didn't think something looked a little off? I mean,
no.
Four times they threw the inbounds play off a miss straight to the Pacers. It was almost as if they were in a nap, like in a daze, like they had just woken up and they didn't know where they were. There were so many dumb mistakes, and they're going to look at the tape this morning, and I think they're really going to kick themselves.
No, what I thought was this looks like Pacer basketball. You're saying, what did this look like? You're saying, did it look like Thunder basketball? I'm like, no, they looked uncharacteristically sloppy. They looked like a team that was a deer in headlights in the fourth quarter. But I also have seen every team that faces the Pacers look like this. So again, at a certain point, I can't just simply say Thunder, Thunder, Thunder. I have to give credit to the Pacers. By the way, I want to say one more time, it's making me sick. For the people who are Knicks fans who may be listening to the show, who's like, man, EJ's giving a lot of credit to the Pacers. It's like, well, this is what they do, and they deserve it. They deserve all the credit in the world for how they're playing. And I think that they're putting a lot of people on notice for how they're responding to a lot of the criticism about how they were not going to be a competitive team in this series.
I hate your takes today, EJ.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh my God, I can't believe you're making this about the Knicks. That's actually even more impressive than what the Pacers did last night. So I'm just curious. So when the Pacers won game one, 111-110, but lost the turnover battle 25-7, was that Pacers basketball?
Yes, because they also can be sloppy.
Okay.
No, because no. Well,
so what happens? What happens at game four then? Who wins the turnover battle?
Sometimes Perloff, you have to. That's the difference in the game. Is what I'm saying. Like there are going to be games where the Pacers are going to win the turnover battle, and there are games that the Thunder are going to win the turnover battle. Sometimes you got to give credit to the team that won. It's not. Sometimes it's not always a team lost the game.
I see what you're saying.
Like sometimes it's the Thunder were clearly playing a 100 miles an hour defensively. The Pacers looked like they had no clue what was going on in terms of what the Thunder were doing defensively. They weren't prepared.
So let me ask you, what happens at game four? Are the Pacers going to win the turnover battle decisively again?
I don't think so. I actually think the Thunder are going to win game four. I think this is going back 2-2.
What about the turnover battle?
That's an unpredictable thing. I don't know.
But you just said that's Pacers basketball. You said this is, and I quote, what they do.
Right, but they're going to force turnovers. Are they going to win the turnover battle? I don't know if the Pacers are going to throw the ball a lot. That's the thing. That's not a predictive thing. Like, I don't think you can look at an NBA game and say, I know this team is going to win turnover battle when they're both strengths of both teams.
Andrew Bogusch is here.
That's like saying who's going to shoot better from three today. Yeah. Is it this team or that team when they're both good three-point shooting teams? It depends on how they play that day.
Bogusch, did EJ just say this is what the Pacers do? They turn over the other team. Right. So it should be predictable that that's Pacer style basketball.
No, because you're saying. But
you're saying sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
See how he's flipping this question? Because you're saying, don't you say the Pacers turn people over? But you're saying who's going to win in turnover battle? That also encompasses the other team and how you take care of the ball. The Pacers could win the turnover battle or cause a lot of turnover. That doesn't mean that they also won't turn the ball over.
Well, they didn't force any turnovers in game 1. They didn't barely force any in game 2.
Right. And we just talked about defensive adjustments, right? What is the first thing you said was they were picking up full court. They changed how they play defense. That's going to affect your turnover battle, Mr. Perloff.
I think our real distinction is I think the Thunder really did not play a smart game or a tight game last night. And I think they can fix this turnover problem. I mean, honestly, they weren't. It wasn't Pacers basketball. It was incredibly terrible passes by the Thunder. Like, it's a made basket, and they're not even doing a full court press, and you throw it right to TJ McConnell's chest.
Because I think these are fatigue turnovers.
Yeah, I don't think that happens again. I think honestly, the coach is going to say, "Hey, if you can't get an inbounds play in, you're not playing anymore." He should have benched Caruso. I'm being dead serious. Like, he should have gotten him off the court. That at any level of basketball, some of the passes he was making were so irresponsible. Queso Wallace too was making irresponsible passes. They have to go to the bench. I think they're going to make a huge adjustment where they go 10 deep again, like they usually do in the next game. Let's hear from Charles Barkley after the game, who commented on this very topic about Coach Mark Daigneault changing his rotation.
It was a 2-point game.
No, I know.
Going into the fourth quarter.
Well, it shouldn't have been, because Oklahoma City's been the best team in the NBA all year. What they should have, they are the best team. If you're the best, you don't change anything. We can say, well, you're barely winning or you're barely losing. Grant just hit the point. There's got to be a psychological, I think it's affected their bench. I truly do.
Yeah, I think Charles nailed it. And Grant Hill, he's talking about, nailed it. The Thunder got away from Thunder basketball last night. We'll see if they recover in game 4. Let us know who you think is going to win the series. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Andrew Bogish with headlines.
Hey, guys. The headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Bogush.
I assume he wants to keep playing for now, but maybe the Knicks should still ask the Pacers for permission to interview Benedict Mathurin for their head coaching job.
Funny. Mathurin launches and hits. Shot from the edge. A 3-ball. He has scored 8 of his 25 here in the fourth, and it's a 2-point Pacer lead. Mathurin has been a huge difference maker in this game.
Mark Boyle wasn't wrong on Pacers Radio. Mathurin scored 10 of his 27 bench points in the fourth, helping Indy turn a 5-point hole into a 116-107 win, which gives them that 2-1 lead on those Thunder in these finals. Mathurin scored his 27 in just 22 minutes of action.
Just staying ready, whenever my number gets called, just to go in the game and, do the right things and trying to have my team win. That's the whole mindset.
Benchmate TJ McConnell added 10 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals, the first sub to have that combo in finals history, yet Perloff is still not sure if he should have an NBA job.
No, I'm sure. And the answer is no. You have to understand, this guy was a Sixer. He stunk.
He played at Duquesne. Go even back that far.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are acting like this is not abnormal that TJ McConnell and Benedict Mathurin are torching a 68-win Team Thunder. Like, yeah, of course they are. What are you talking about?
Again, this is the problem that everyone is having right now. I know. No one can process the Pacers.
No.
This is what TJ McConnell does. Benedict Mathurin averaged 17 points a game. He started 30 games. They said last night, and when he was starting, he had multiple 30-point games. The dude can play.
Oh, my God. Yeah, but 27 points in an NBA Finals game? You saw that coming? Nobody saw that coming.
He had 22 the other day.
Killed the Knicks in a game. The deciding game, right? Game 6.
Oh, okay. So sorry. You guys are right. I should have seen that coming last night.
No, it's not that you shouldn't have seen it coming per se.
I mean, it's obviously his career.
It's that now that it's happened, you have to give them credit. I think that's the point.
I love Benedict. I'm actually a big Benedict Mathurin fan. Like, I think he should get more minutes. But I did not see that coming last night at all. Because he played more minutes than he usually does too, and he killed them.
He's kind of like, but to me, he's like a J.R. Smith type. Like, he's kind of a feast or famine player. Like, you could have that kind of game, but he also can give you an 0 for 7. Like, that's the risk of playing him a lot of minutes. That's the risk of giving him a lot of rope. If there's any guy that may play outside of their system, it's going to be him. So sometimes it's risky, but that's the reward you get. Is that when he plays with that kind of confidence, his shot is going. Like, he's a very dangerous player.
Oh my God.
Wasn't he a top 10
You guys
pick?
are not seeing any.
He's number 6 pick in the draft.
Right.
This guy's not like
So low.
Ben Matherin's good, but generally, like, none of this surprises you. None of like Ben Shepherd standing tall in the NBA Finals. None of this is surprising to any of you guys. You all saw this coming. That's what I feel like. The Pacers were massive underdogs. I feel like I'm going crazy, like everybody.
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me. And again, maybe, and I know you're going to bring the Knicks in raw. I promise I'm not doing it on purpose, but maybe it's scar tissue because I've seen this team do this to my team. But again, I was talking to my brother about this last night. It's not just a Knicks thing. Like, ask Bucks fans how they feel about the Pacers, and now ask Cavs fans how they feel about the Pacers. Like, these are teams that went into those series thinking that, okay, this cute little story is okay, but we have more talent, we have bigger stars. And when that comes up in the players, that's going to show itself. And it just does not against this team.
Right, and like they have 3 mathematically impossible comebacks in this postseason. So why would anything that they do surprise us?
So you are taking the Pacers?
No, I'm not taking the Pacers. I am surprised by definition. No. I see, but like, here's the thing: you are giving them 0 credit.
No, I'm giving them a lot of credit.
You're not. You've given them no credit. In fact, you've given them 0 credit, and you can't believe that we're saying anything nice about them.
That's not true at all. But I am surprised that TJ McConnell and Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nembhard and Ben Shepherd are kicking the OKC Thunder's butt. That surprises me.
Well, see, they didn't kick their butt. They're up 2-1, yes,
well,
but they should have lost game 1, and they were never in game 2.
I'm talking about the bench. The bench destroyed Oklahoma City.
Now,
and Oklahoma City Thunder's bench is very good. That shocked me, yes.
Yes, and if they do it again and again, and this series is over and they win this series in 6 games, then I'll be surprised.
That would be surprising.
Right. And I'm slightly surprised. Now, I thought this was going to be a 6-game series for the Thunder, so I'm surprised the Pacers already have the 2 wins that I was giving them in 3 games. But like, this is why they're here. And this is why the Cavs aren't and the Knicks aren't. This is why they waited almost this far last year.
Right, but I thought the OKC was a much better team, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. They were 68-14, had the biggest win differential of any team in NBA history.
Yeah.
And listen, the Knicks won, 51 games?
Yes.
The Cavs had major injuries. Darius Garland was hurt. The Bucks have, of course, fallen apart. So I thought OKC was better than this.
Yes, and is this though them feeling the pressure of being in the finals?
Yeah, young
as
team.
number 1 and for the first time.
But let me say this though, and I know you're talking about it's so shocking that Ben Mathurin and McConnell are playing great. Those guys are role players, right? They're not starters. I mean, who is Isaiah Joe and who is Kenrich Williams? I'm not saying those guys are scrubs. I respect those guys too. What I'm saying is I don't see this massive talent depth when it comes to depth. I think the Thunder have much better high-end talent. Like, I think if you look at the 3-man combination of Chet, SGA, and Jalen Williams, I take that over, I guess, Haliburton, Siakam, and whoever you want to say the third best player is. I guess Turner. Like, I would take the high-end Thunder, which is why I had them win the series. But I think in terms of depth, Obi Toppin comes in and he's running around, dunking on people.
Obi Toppin, who you considered a joke when I was talking about it. I said that the Pacers should play Obi more. I actually said they should bench Miles Turner and play Obi, and you're like, yes, please, against the Knicks. And Obi has been killing it.
Yeah, because Miles Turner has size. Well, first of all, that's not true, because I said that Cat was killing
You
Miles
literally
Turner.
laughed at
me. Because go back to the tape. I literally said I hope that they send Uber for Miles Turner to guard Karl-Anthony Towns. That's literally on tape. So let's not rehash this thing and change it up. What I did say is that Obi Toppin is an up and down player, which is true. What is that again? Like, I don't like this idea that I have to say, because I say something about one guy is a negative, that means that I think the player is terrible entirely. Like, I don't do that. I don't do the TJ McConnell thing like you're asking me to do with Obi Toppin. Like, I know what he's accomplished.
Okay. I know we're this is probably too much for the listener because we are having a lot of conversations that we're off air. I thought you guys, as former as Knicks fans, did not totally respect Obi Toppin. Am I imagining that?
You came into the thing and said, wow, that guy Obi Toppin, he's crazy. He's running around throwing the ball out of bounds and dribbling all crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's what he does. That's what we told you, which is true. It doesn't mean he also doesn't play well.
Please, Bogusch, give me another headline.
Game 4 of this series, by the way, is tomorrow night. It's the only time in the series there's just one off day between games. I watched all of Manny's thirst traps from the batting cage yesterday on Instagram.
Nice swing.
I don't think he hit one this far.
2-2. Swung on and hit high in the air. Deep center field.
Near,
Carter looking up, and it's gone. It's way gone. Into the Treasure Island home run deck. Byron Buxton does it again.
That's on Twins Radio. Buxton, a 479-foot go-ahead 3-run homer. Second longest homer in the majors this season. Minnesota beat Texas 6-2. The Red Sox hit 4 solo homers to top the Rays 4-3, and Juan Soto a 2-run shot as the Mets pushed their win streak to 5-0 over the Nats.
Wait, thirst traps.
Isn't that what you're doing?
No,
for the ladies to see you?
Not at all.
Switch hitting stud.
Right.
I was just trying to analyze my swing. Thirst traps. That would never cross my mind. I'm in shock.
Can I ask what speed that video was on? It was oddly slow-mo adjacent.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just didn't look like game speed, like live.
It was like 0.75 speed.
Yeah.
Video.
First off, how dare you?
That's a great idea, though. You should do NFL film style slow-mo of you hitting the ball. That sounds great.
Why would I need to do that when I can make contact at regular speed like the video depicts?
Not saying you slow down the pitch. We're saying you slow down the video.
Yeah.
Why? I look great.
You didn't look good, lefty.
I looked. I made better.
The lefty swing was a little.
I made. Well, hold on. It was a compact Trent Grisham like swing. Okay, that's my king. Number one. Number two.
You're trying to get on base when you're up there at lefty. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, 100%. And that was my role. I'm 5'8". I'm not 6'7" like Aaron Judge. I'm not mashing the ball 450 feet.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to dink and dunk.
Do you guys think ladies see a guy taking BP in the batting cage and are like, ooh?
No, dog. That's why I'm shocked that this would even be brought up. Thirst traps? No, I
don't know.
I got more comments from the boys, and that's I'm satisfied with that.
You're up there being athletic. Your arms are out. Calves are out.
Did you like that?
Making contact with
Is that what you saw?
Uh-huh.
I got to tell you, it's
nice.
It's better than on your birthday night tomorrow night, sitting home and playing video games and watching the basketball game on your phone.
I mean, that's probably what's going to go down.
It kind of sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
all the married men in the room are like,
married men with
kids
kids
are
are like,
like,
that actually sounds great.
Yep. Yeah. You guys envy my life. You guys wish you guys were a 28-year-old single man like me.
No, I wish I could just ask for a night to myself.
Do it. Come on.
To just be like, could
Show me
everybody
something.
leave the house for 36 hours?
Show me something.
Going on the Knicks jokes about the coaching hires. You see Jerry Ferraro was like, I put in a request to play 18 rounds of golf today. Request denied by my wife.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem.
You just play.
Damn right. Only problem that I have is if my electricity gets cut. You know what I mean?
My favorite tweet on the Knicks trying to hire everybody is the Bucks called the Knicks to offer Glenn Doc Rivers, and the Knicks denied permission for him to interview. Was it I think it was the Bucks. Yeah.
Yep.
That's become a nice little punchline. Well, we'll get to that later in the show. All right, folks. Thanks very much. I got it now. I'm going to take the break and go look at Manny in the batting cage. I did not see this thirst trap video. All right. We got to get to the NFL for a minute. There is an encouraging sign for a possible contender. I got to tell you, people are down on this team in the NFL. I'm back in. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. EJ is sitting in for Maggie today. So the running back du jour is Saquon Barkley in the NFL. Everyone's talking about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley led the Eagles to Super Bowl victory. Everyone forgot about last year's Saquon Barkley, 2 years ago. Christian McCaffrey was the same guy. Of course, took too many touches in 2023 and wore down big time in 2024.
Perloff, by the way. That's your future.
Yeah, no, I mean, science says if you have a huge carry season, you're going to wear it out next year. So McCaffrey is a little bit older and has a long injury history, but definitely felt it last year, and the Niners fell apart when he was out there. But good news, Niners fans, McCaffrey back, and he says he's feeling great.
No, I feel great. I think this offseason I spent a lot of time kind of building back a base, starting from scratch. So a lot of it was rehab, and wanted to put myself in a position where I didn't miss a day of OTAs and I could practice and play football again and be healthy and not miss a day. And I did that, and now it's, we can kind of kick back up the training again. But I feel great.
I'm very interested in the Niners as a dark horse team to come out of the NFC, and I'll tell you why. McCaffrey's coming back from injury. Ayuk's coming back from injury. Ricky Pearsall, who did play at the end of the season, but he's going to be fully healthy and get a camp after, unfortunately, being shot before last year's season started. And you're paying more for a defensive coordinator than any team in the NFL. You brought Robert Saleh back they have fallen off tremendously once they started rotating their defensive coordinators. They drafted defense. I think their line is going to be a little better, and they fixed their special teams. Hopefully, special teams destroyed them last year. Signed a bunch of guys, low-key guys that no one knows about. I'm into the Niners because when they got to the Super Bowl in 2019 with Jimmy G, lost a tough one to the Chiefs, blew a 10-point lead, were terrible the next year, lots of injuries, very reminiscent of 24. Then they came back. I think they were a wild card team, but they were super tough in the playoffs the next year. I think the Niners get back to 49er football. I know there was a lot of distractions with Brock Purdy's contract. They got it out of the way early. So I just think things are shaping up well. And if Christian McCaffrey is healthy like he says, I think that fixes a lot of their problems, EJ.
I'll tell you what. I will say I kind of agree with you. I think that the Niners will be a much better team next year, but I put a little asterisk on that.
Okay.
It's because of the schedule. The Niners have literally the easiest schedule in the NFL when you go by records from last season. Now, of course, things change. Some of these teams that were bad last year could be good, but the Niners schedule is extremely soft. So I think what will happen is that they'll be able to beat up on teams. They got their road games are against the Saints. They got a Giants road game. They got the Browns. Like the Colts. These are road games that are extremely winnable. So for a team that's going to be traveling cross country, I don't think they'll be tested as much on the road, which I think will allow them to have a little bit of a gaudy record. But I do think when they start facing these other tougher teams in the NFC, when playoff time comes, perhaps they will look a little bit more like paper tigers. Okay. I don't know if I buy them in terms of taking a deep run. Because I think they still have some problems with depth.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Kyle Shanahan gets killed for famous postseason mistakes. Responsible for 28-3 comeback. Patriots OC of Atlanta at the time. Obviously took the ball first in overtime against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But I kind of disagree. Once those Niners get into the NFC playoffs, they're way tougher. I mean, they should have beaten the Rams the year the Rams won the Super Bowl, and they were not a great team. I think people take this team way too lightly. I think they've forgotten them already.
You know who I think this Niners team is? I think that this is, to me, when I look at their roster, they're doing the right thing. They're doing what I said I thought they should do, which is they need to start getting younger and they need to start kind of getting rid of some of these older guys. But I think they're still kind of in between what they're going to be for the next 2.0 Niners. Because they remind me of the Rams from 2 years ago. Remember when it was Aaron Donald's last year?
Yep.
And they had a million rookies and Aaron Donald? That's kind of what I feel when I look at the Niners defense. I see Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and a bunch of just young guys that are going to be out there playing. I feel like they're going to surprise some people who maybe are kind of underestimating them.
Yep.
But they're not going to be a serious Super Bowl contender. Like that Rams team lost to the Lions in the first round of the playoffs. They were good. They were dangerous, but they weren't really serious.
Well,
I think that's kind of what you're going to see with the Rams. They're a team that they'll maybe win a wild card, maybe win a division. Who knows? But I think once you get to the playoffs, I think they're going to face some of these tougher teams, Eagles, Lions, those teams. I think they probably get bounced in the first round.
Here's the thing, though. The NFC feels a lot wilder to me. Like the AFC, it feels like every year it's the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens. Like those are the three teams. They are entrenched deep into the playoffs. NFC, it's been a lot more erratic.
I think to be honest, if you're looking at who the teams are in the NFC that have shown playoff mettle and can be proven, it'd be the Eagles, the Lions, the Niners, and the Rams. Those are the 4 teams.
Lions have showed playoff mettle?
2 years in a row, they've advanced at least one round in the playoffs, right?
No, I think they lost their first game last year.
Right. Sorry.
They had a huge disappointment last year.
So maybe Lions, maybe not. But those are the core teams. I feel like I don't know if it's that much different than because the Ravens have had some early exits, the Bills have had some early exits. Like I think that you could poke holes in that too.
Yeah, but I mean,
Bills lost in the first round to the Bengals a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like they've had their disappointments.
Right, but I look at the odds, and those three teams feel pretty tough to knock off. I mean, the Bills are going to waltz to the AFC East title again. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, and of course, the Ravens are the team that I'm circling. Like they kind of have to win this year.
Yeah,
like Lamar Jackson has to win a Super Bowl at some point, right? You would think that. The Eagles are a strong favorite in the NFC, but you know what happens to Super Bowl champions? They play deep into February. You have no idea. They lost a lot of key guys. Will Saquon Barkley be as effective? So I think the NFC is a little more wide open. I think the Niners are one of those teams. I also put the Rams in that mix for sure.
Yep.
I think the Lions lost a lot. I think the Vikings lost a lot. The Packers are a little up and down. So I think those two teams from the West are really interesting to me. We have a long time. It's only June.
The West is an interesting division, to be honest, because I mean the Seahawks now have Sam Darnold. How does that play into it?
Yeah,
and I want to see what Marvin Harrison Jr. is year 2 in the Cardinals offense.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the Cardinals are going to start out maybe 6-3, 7-4, and then come back down to earth because that's what the Cardinals do.
Yep.
All right, we're going to get back into the NBA Finals and a little NBA trade talk. There are a lot of big names going on out there, but we actually have a player and teams that might be happening very, very soon. That's next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining.
There's no way, bro.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, hour 2, Maggie and Perloff show. Maggie is out today. EJ Stewart is sitting in the big chair. Some heated argument over the NBA Finals. Pacers go up 2-1, 116-107 victors last night. I was shocked at the way the OKC Thunder played. And I think the difference between where EJ and I stand, I thought the Thunder lost this game, and you point out that the Pacers have been doing this to other teams, and therefore the Pacers won it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the Pacers are one of those teams that they just wear you down. And I think it's not even just all they do defensively, it's also how they play offensively. They move the ball so well. They play at such a fast pace. They challenge you in every single way. There is no taking breaks playing against the Pacers. And I think as games go on and as series go on, it gets a lot harder to beat them. I think that's why you saw the Pacers play their best game in Game 3.
So how did the Celtics kill this team last year in the
Well, people
Eastern
forget
Conference
Tyrese
Finals?
Haliburton. So people forget the Pacers actually choked Game 1 of that game. They should have won, and they threw a turnover in 3 in a long story. The Celtics won that game. And then Haliburton got hurt in Game 2. He didn't play the rest of the series. So you're talking about a series that was a 4-game sweep. And in those last 2 games, those were extremely competitive games without Tyrese Haliburton. I think that if the Pacers would have had Haliburton healthy for all of that series, you're seeing a much different series. I don't know if they beat the Celtics, but I think you're probably seeing a 6-game series or so.
So why were the Pacers underdogs to the Knicks?
I think because people looked at what the Pacers did against the Knicks last season and saw that the Knicks, they beat a Knicks team that was hurt. They beat a team that was basically 6 guys healthy, and that was why I think that a lot of people thought the Pacers won that series. But the Knicks, in many ways, even though they were much better equipped to beat the Celtics, the team they built this year was not as well equipped to beat the Pacers, especially with how Tom Thibodeau was coaching them.
Okay. All that being said, you and many other people are still picking the Thunder to win the series, which I understand. It feels like a very home road dependent series. If all that is true, then why are you not fully confident that the Pacers can continue to do this against OKC?
Great question. And here's why. Because I believe in the MVP, Mr. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I've been a big Shai Gilgeous-Alexander guy.
Definitely.
And I think this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of tired of hearing about Mark Daigneault. And I'm the first person who will crush an NBA head coach. And I'm not saying he's coaching a great series. He is not. But fourth quarter has to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander time. It cannot be Chet Holmgren time, and it cannot be Jalen Williams time. So when I see them fall apart the way they did in the fourth quarter, I'm looking at the star player, the MVP, the guy that I think is truly one of the best players, one of the elite players in the NBA. He can't let that happen. And I think that if they're going to win this series, he's got to be the best player in this series. I think he is, and I think that you'll see him. He's gonna pull them out of this. I really do believe that, because I think at the end of the day, the Pacers don't have a guy on the other end who can match them shot for shot, as great as Haliburton is late in games.
SGA, when he late in the fourth quarter traveled around the foul line, it was just, he looked lost. And I think one of the things that kills the Thunder is lack of passing the ball. They had 207 passes in Game 1. It was the lowest total, I think, the entire postseason of any team. Now, they're not a great passing ball. I saw at Advanced Stats, they're 25th in the league in getting as many passes in a game. They like to dribble. Now, usually they can get the pace going up and they can get forced turnovers, and it's okay. They can make up for that. But last night, early in the game, there are times where SGA and Jalen Williams were trying to do it on themselves. And the thing is, you wear down when you do that. You need to move the ball. The Pacers, you said it just now, are moving the ball better. I think the Thunder have a lot of adjustments they will make. I think they need to use their bench more. I think SGA's got to pass the ball more and come back to the ball. I think they cannot dribble as much because the Pacers' eyes are getting big now. When that ball goes on the floor, they're like, oh, we're going to take it. Where early in the series, the Thunder, they destroyed them by stealing the ball in Game 1 and lost somehow. They won the turnover battle 25-7 and lost. I think the Thunder have a lot of adjustments here. That's why I'm with you. I think it's a long series, and I did put a bet on the Pacers. The odds still say Thunder easy. I think it's, not to get into the betting weeds, but there's a lot of logic to take the Pacers now, but you still get good odds. Yeah. I think people are not convinced by the Pacers. I don't think I'm alone in this. I am surprised to see TJ McConnell sort of dominating energy-wise the Thunder. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but to do this to the Thunder, that's surprising to me. Like, the Oklahoma City Thunder go deep. They have 10 players. This is shocking that their bench, who was very, very good in Game 2, would all of a sudden totally fall apart and the coach would lose faith in them. I didn't see that coming.
But I think TJ doing it to their bench that's the part is not surprising to me because the Thunder are a good team. They have a good bench. I don't look at their bench and say they're a bunch of all-stars on there. Like I think TJ McConnell talent-wise is perfectly fine against their backup guards. Like I think Isaiah Joe and
but they don't use Isaiah Joe anymore.
Right, I know, but like, he didn't even play. But like that little time that they played, McConnell had a massive impact in that short time. So,
I saw Andrew Wiggins be the best player on the court in game 2.
Aaron Wiggins.
Aaron Wiggins. Yeah,
Aaron Wiggins is good. But again, these are guys who can have good games here or there. Like they're good. I
actually watched Aaron Wiggins. I'm like, oh, that guy could be a $25 million a year player.
I love them coming out of Maryland. I thought he was extremely underdrafted.
I think that they did not have enough faith in their bench last night, and you saw it also, just the loose balls, like where Thunder get loose balls. I've seen them do it all playoffs, and they just were watching it last night. Isaiah Hartenstein, who's a hustle guy, looked like his feet were stuck in the mud.
I think they've met their match in many ways. I think they've met a team whose identity in many ways is very similar to theirs, and that's why this is going to be a challenge. In many ways, I think, had they faced the Knicks or had they faced the Cavs, like maybe it actually would have been an easier series because in some ways they can impose their will. The one thing about the Pacers that I've been saying all playoffs and why they scare me is it seems like regardless of who they play, they find a way to impose their will. Now, surprisingly, I actually think in the first 2 games they didn't. Like I feel like the Thunder kind of dominated them in game 1 and then kind of just blew it late in the fourth quarter, and they dominated them in game 2.
Yeah.
So this game was due. The question is this a sign of things to come? Like this is just the beginning of the end, which, for other teams, that's what it was. Or is this, okay, the Pacers got their game that they were expecting to have. Now the Thunder will make their adjustments and get their second win. I think that they will get their second win. They'll win the series. But again, there was no way this was going to be a cakewalk. It just wasn't.
Well, by the way, when you say impose their will, obviously the Thunder were leading most of the game. It was a close game though. Yeah, it was a close game.
It was high scoring. Yeah. Like to me, like the
Thunder
Pacers,
starting lineup won that game. It was the bench
they won
that got
the first
killed.
quarter. But I think to me, it was fast paced.
Yeah.
The Pacers, they had turnovers, but it wasn't crazy. It wasn't over the top. I think they had 14 for the game. They kept the turnover battle kind of close. They didn't just throw the ball over the yard. And Tyrese Haliburton was aggressive, and he was forcing the issue. So to me, that's what I mean when they were imposing their will. It wasn't necessarily that they were blowing them out or winning the game, but they were playing Pacers basketball. The game was going to be very comfortable for them. So it was, again, not a surprise that they were going to be in the game if that was going to be the terms that the Thunder were going to play them on.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the Oklahoma City Thunder starting lineup did very well. They all ended up with plus on the plus minus side. It was the guys. Caruso had a minus 15, where on the other side, TJ McConnell and Benedict Mathurin were plus 15.
But I think it's to your point though, because I think the one thing people keep saying is, again, someone tweeted this. Shout out to Fred Katz from The Athletic. He tweeted, "It's amazing that the Pacers can play with this maniacal effort constantly." And I'm like, well, when the players know they're not playing an astronomical amount of minutes for the 15, 20 minutes they're out there, they can give maximum effort. So
isn't that the Thunder's formula?
Well, no, I'm saying, but to your point, Dagnall, he switched. Now Caruso can give you 20 maximum minutes. Asking Caruso gave you 35 maximum minutes, maybe too much. Asking
Holmgren
some of these
played
guys,
too many minutes.
Yeah, Holmgren asking him to play 40 minutes with that kind of pace, maybe too much. So
that's because Isaiah Hartenstein didn't have it last night, which was strange too, because he'd been really good in this play.
Right,
strange game.
It becomes a matchup of tough decisions. But you know what? Rick Carlisle, regardless of how his team is playing, is going to play the same minutes. The fact that Tyrese Haliburton still ended up with only about 32 minutes last night, even though I thought he was extremely effective, shows you again that he's not going to let the game dictate what he does. He's going to impose how they want to play on other teams, and now you're starting to see the fruits of that labor in Game 3.
Well, I'm not sure I totally agree with that, because I thought the Pacers' first unit looked like they were in danger of getting blown out until McConnell on the bench came into the game. And
right,
totally
but Haliburton
reversed
kind of kept them in it, because in the first quarter and third quarter, I think they only scored 20 points. That's how Haliburton had like 6 of them or 7. Like he was only scoring.
It was definitely the bench that came in and just dominated.
But again, that goes to the point of they're gonna send waves at you regardless. So those guys, the starters didn't play well. Okay, we're not gonna panic and say, okay, you got short rest and go back in there. Nope. Obi Toppin, you're playing your 27 minutes. McConnell, you're playing your 15. Benedict Mathurin, you're playing your 20. And we're gonna let you guys do your thing. And those guys are coming out there and they're flying around because they got fresh legs.
Okay. Speaking of fresh legs, that's exactly why I'm not trading for Kevin Durant if I'm in your New York Knicks. Because it's funny, we're talking about this formula of going 8 or 9 deep like the Pacers, but NBA offseason is kicking into high gear, and Shams Charania, the ESPN insider, is reporting that there's going to be all these big trades. It seems to really be starting with Kevin Durant. Now, if the formula is to go 8 or 9 or 10 deep, a lot of these teams that are rumored to want Kevin Durant are going to have to gut some of their talent to get him from Phoenix. It's really interesting. There was a report yesterday, and the teams that express interest in Durant are the Rockets, the Spurs, the Heat, the Timberwolves, and your New York Knicks, EJ. Yep. I just worry for a lot of these teams, are you going to give up too much for a player that turns 37 very soon and has not been generally healthy through his 30s? I just worry that this feels like the kind of move where you think KD is going to take you over the top, but you get older and you get thinner. And I'm watching the NBA Finals, and there are all these bench guys coming running around. I don't know if that's the formula to win a title in the NBA anymore.
You know what's funny about Kevin Durant is I feel like if you're a team that's simply trying to get to the next level, to push yourself to maybe playoff contention or maybe become a more serious contender in the West or Eastern Conference, then I think KD may be for you, because some of those teams may be holding on to young guys that we still don't know whether or not they're going to really come out to be the players you think they're going to be. I think if you're the T-Wolves or the Knicks, I would say massive caution. Massive caution if you think that this is going to be a piece to get you over the top, because Kevin Durant's someone who, despite his numbers, which are really good, I mean, he is still an extremely efficient, extremely talented offensive player. He has been brittle, and he has not been a guy that's really been impacting wins and losses in any major way. So to me, if you're one of those teams that says, well, this guy's going to get us over the top, and we're going to sacrifice some of this depth in order to get KD, I think that could be a massive mistake. Now, if you're the Spurs, who you're a team that says we got all these picks and all these young guys who are still kind of a ways away, and Wembanyama, we want to maximize his time here and maybe show him a guy who can kind of show him the ropes of how to be a true champion, that may make sense. You're the Rockets, and you're saying, hey, look, we got knocked out of the first round despite a good regular season. Like, we want to show that we can push maybe to championship contention. Okay, maybe it would make sense. I don't think for these teams like the Knicks and T-Wolves, who were a couple wins away from going to the NBA Finals, those teams are a lot closer and further along. To take all your pieces and put it into a Kevin Durant trade doesn't make sense to me.
See, I love one team in particular for KD, the Minnesota Timberwolves. If they can get rid of Gobert, if they could get rid of Julius Randle and bring in KD, yes, addition by subtraction. I know Randle played well in the postseason, but obviously, how do you stop the Minnesota Timberwolves? You put everything on Anthony Edwards. You can't do that when KD's on the court. So that's one fit for me. Also, they have older guys that they could get rid of. A lot of these teams, Houston and San Antonio, would have to give up with young talent that they really don't want to do. You don't want to give up, for example, San Antonio, the number 2 pick. There's no way you could give that.
I don't think that's gonna
or Stephon Castle, you don't want to give him up. Houston, I could give up Jalen Green personally, but you can't touch him and Thompson. So I like teams. I want to give up an old guy for him. And the Knicks could do this too. The Knicks are a little younger. Yeah. If I could give up an old guy whose contract I don't love for KD, then I'm in. So you kind of have to try and fleece the Suns. Oh, man, if the T-Wolves could unload Rudy Gobert and his contract for Kevin Durant, I would not hesitate.
But I guess my question is, I give myself truth serum. As much as I love all these teams in the NBA and try to see who the next teams are coming up, I give myself truth serum and say, are the Spurs, with the piece they have right now, or the Rockets, the piece they have now, are they really going to be serious title contenders in the next 3 years? I think a lot of
people think they will, though.
I know, but I think my true serum says no.
Okay,
I think that they're still a little ways away. I think they're a lot. I think those teams are still figuring out who are the guys on this team that are actually good and guys that are going to be championship pieces. I think they're still figuring things out. That's why I'm saying, okay, I would be willing to take a little bit of a risk, giving up maybe a few of those guys, or maybe just one of those guys, and maybe just some draft capital to really kind of supercharge this thing and really allow my young stars to learn what it means to be a great player like Kevin Durant. Now, the one thing I would worry about with Kevin Durant, which is also why I really wouldn't want him, particularly on the Knicks, all that stuff on social media, that is toxic energy that I think only brings distractions, and I think will only be heightened when he's on a championship caliber team. I think in some ways it's kind of in the ether of NBA Twitter because they're not paying attention. If he's playing for a team that's competing for a title, or a team that's in New York City, you don't think that's going to be front page news every time he runs at a NYK 1 2 3 4 5 fan on Twitter saying that, hey, you're an idiot who doesn't know anything? Like, that's going to be on the back page of the New York Post.
Yeah, but KD was here before, and
it was a problem then.
It was a problem, but he still
and also he played for
did
the
some
Nets.
nice things for. Yeah, I understand, but I'm not actually. I don't care as much about the Heat and the Knicks for KD because the Knicks would have to give up. The Knicks would have a problem. They would be able to give up too much. The Heat, I don't understand at all because they're not a KD away from a title. That feels like a retirement home for KD because I don't think they'd be contenders.
Maybe that's what he's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he wants to be the bus driver there because they just don't have enough around him. I think Houston, I do disagree a little bit about their title window because they have a lot of old guys too. They're not just the young guys.
Besides Fred.
Well, they have Fred. They have Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
He's actually
he's a veteran guy. Yeah,
he's an effective. Yeah, he's getting a little older than you might think.
Yeah. He's like a 24-year-old rookie, I think.
Last year, they had a bunch of older guys mix in with their young guys, and they could give up Reed Shepard, who they took at number 3 overall, who I don't think they really even need because Amon Thompson is going to be their star. They could maybe give up Jalen Green, who was disappointing in the playoffs. I think they're a little closer, a little more veteran than the Spurs.
Right.
That's interesting about. I think people expect Wemby to take that step. There's a lot of talent there. If you add a KD, you have to admit it's interesting.
That's what I said. I like the Spurs. Like to me, the Spurs and Rockets, those teams make more sense. Like to me, if you're the Spurs and you could put a trio of De'Aaron Fox, who's an all-star guard, you got Wembanyama, and then you got Kevin Durant, and you're not going to give you're not going to give your entire coffers of young players. You're still going to have guys.
We didn't even mention whoever comes in at number 2 and Stephon Castle. And I don't know that you have to give up Castle. You could give up Vassell, and not to get in the weeds on this trade rumor, but you might be able to keep a lot of those guys.
Like there's other guys they can give up because they have so many young players. So
and picks,
Yeah, so the opportunity for the Spurs, to me, that makes the perfect sense. Like I would definitely take that risk.
And by the way, we'll see how this NBA Finals goes, but what team has more draft capital than anyone? OKC Thunder.
I'll be honest, bro. I watched that game and watched Jalen Williams going 1-on-5 and watched Chet Holmgren falling over the court. And I was like, those two better straighten up because do not think that we're talking about Kevin Durant. I don't think that's a possibility, but Giannis Antetokounmpo may be out there. Do not think for a second that Sam Presti won't be aggressive if they lose this series and say, you know what, maybe I need to get really aggressive here, and maybe I'll move one of these guys and all these picks and go get Giannis, and now we really could talk about dynasty.
Yeah, no, I think Sam Presti would do that in a heartbeat. I mean, Jalen Williams he's sort of duplicative of SGA in a way. Yeah, he's great especially when SGA is on the bench, but I'd give him up for a difference maker like that. They also have all these draft picks, which will be really attractive. And they could get in the KD mix if they wanted to. They have better picks than all those other teams we just mentioned.
It just, again, maybe I'm too into the ether of NBA Twitter. It sounds like Kevin Durant still can't stand the Thunder fans.
Yeah, outright. And he didn't want to go back to Golden State.
There's a lot of animosity. Now, look, I mean, I don't know if the Suns are going to do this thing where they're going to just send him where he wants to go or if they're going to want to get the best offer. But if that becomes a problem where the Suns are saying, hey, where do you want to go? He says, I'm not going to the Thunder. That could be the one thing that would put the kibosh on it.
I hear you. This is going to be interesting. I think KD could be the first domino to fall. And it could be, according to Shams Charania, the ESPN insider, by the draft, which is about a week after the finals are finally over. So that'll be interesting. I really like these West teams. I'm curious. I keep calling the West a varsity and the East a JV. If you add Kevin Durant to a contender, and if you add Giannis, which seems more up in the air than ever before, it sounds like Giannis might be interested in staying in Milwaukee, and you're going to add the number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg to Dallas, the number 2 pick in Dylan Harper, whoever, to San Antonio. I mean, just the flood of talent to the West. It feels like all the guys are going to the West.
Yeah, I mean, KD's in the West, so he's staying.
But to a contender in the West.
Right. I mean, but then the Suns become worse. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. No, the bottom of the West is bad. I'll give you that. But the thing is, the East, if all the talent keeps going to the West, will be a lot easier for the Pacers or maybe the Knicks to get back in there because the Celtics are falling apart. We learned yesterday that the Celtics, everyone except Jason Tatum, are for sale. And Jason Tatum's not even really playing next year because he got hurt so late. So it's going to be very interesting. Aaron Rodgers, we haven't talked about him for an hour and 20 minutes. What's going on here?
Great job, guys.
We're losing it here. Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler.
Who's producing the show?
Yeah. Wait, I can't believe this. I mean, what's our Aaron Rodgers quota for the day? I know some people are tired of this, but there was a quote from his offensive coordinator that A, made me laugh, and B, I found very, very intriguing from a football standpoint. Actually makes me hopeful for Pittsburgh's offense. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, R.I.P. Brian Wilson, Beach Boys, sadly passed. Musical genius. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie out today. E.J. Stewart sitting in the big chair. E.J. and Manny, of course, are famously ignorant of old music, but I feel like you know the Beach Boys, right?
Yeah, another one of those that rather tell you guys about that random fourth grade play where I was James Brown.
Yeah.
We had to do like music throughout the history of time, and so
that's
a
cool.
lot of Beach Boys songs.
But you didn't do the Beach Boys.
Well, we all sung all the songs,
but you did the James Brown.
I was the James Brown character in the play. So I had an afro, and I was 9 years old, had an afro wig.
E.J. Stewart and Chadwick Boseman, you know what they say about those performances.
I literally only had one line the entire play, but I said it multiple times. Ow! Huh, I feel good. Literally,
I would do
all
anything.
I said. Every question they gave me, that's what I told. That's what I said in the play.
I got to call your parents. I would do anything for video of this play. That would be amazing. That would be. What do I want for Christmas? I want video of you as James Brown. Do you do the dance?
Yeah. I did. Like it wasn't like a long dance, but it'd be like, huh, I feel good.
Yeah.
EJ, can I get that for my birthday, please? Thank you much.
Yeah. Send me what's that thing? A cameo? Yeah, I'll do a cameo for you.
I just watched
$50.
Paying you?
Do you remember Eddie Murphy getting in the hot tub, the James Brown impersonation?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that the other day, and whenever I think of James Brown, I go to Eddie Murphy as James Brown. But Brian Wilson sadly passed away. I've watched a lot of documentaries on the Beach Boys. Really interesting because they pushed the Beatles. I think I don't totally get it. Like a lot of like music, people are like, "Oh man, the Beach Boys are the most brilliant band," but it's a lot of like light surfing music.
Surfing USA is a banger. That was one of the songs that I play.
Kind of interesting. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. So we're 2 days into Aaron Rodgers in Steelers minicamp.
Good vibrations in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there was nothing weird yesterday though. There was no marriage announcement. There was no conspiracy theory. There was no aliens. There was nothing about bioscience. Like what happened? It was just football yesterday.
Number of days since last weird Aaron Rodgers incident. One.
Yeah.
One. Let's see if we get to two today.
Is he going to be boring in Pittsburgh? I mean, come on. We have to use our sound for the WTF Aaron Rodgers segment. And yesterday was just straight football, including his offense coordinator, Arthur Smith, talking about how they plan to use Aaron Rodgers in their offense this year.
You'd love to be more balanced. Obvious, depending on how you want to attack this defense, where you think their strengths, weaknesses are. I mean, that's the game. It's played every Sunday. And obviously, as your roster evolves, obviously we didn't bring Aaron in here and sign DK for all that money to go run the wishbone. So, you try to play to the strengths of your team.
Here's my problem with that. They didn't have to run the ball all the time last year. They didn't have to run the ball all the time in 2023, and they didn't have to do it in 2022. They went from Matt Canada, who everybody had an issue with in Pittsburgh, to another run-first offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. And here's the thing. Establishing the run is one thing. You don't run the ball well.
Right.
They were way toward the bottom of the league in yards per carry with Najee Harris. So they have to pass the ball. Obviously, it's easier to pass the ball on first and second down. That's where Aaron Rodgers' numbers will be good. And I hope Arthur Smith follows through on this and actually does open up the offense because it's been too long.
Yeah, they were 26th last year in the NFL in yards per carry, which is putrid, even though they ran the ball, I think, the fourth most times in the NFL, which is insane.
It's so Steelers.
Yeah, I guess the question I have is, you can say all this stuff in, in June? What happens in October and November? I feel like these play calls often go back to what's comfortable to them. And Arthur Smith can talk a good game right now that they're not going to run the wishbone. But will we be seeing first down run, second round run, third down pass like we've seen from him his entire career? Once they actually get through the mix of the season, I feel like we probably still will see some of that.
But you know who likes that?
Mike Tomlin.
Exactly. He wants to win 19-13, and that's how you do it. Now, you watch him closely. You're a Jets fan. I feel like he had some big attempt games towards the end of the season. He had some early in the season, but at a certain point, they said, all right, Aaron, just drop back and throw short passes all game.
Jets were a passing team last year. They were near the top of the league when it came to passing attempts. Now, they were down in a lot of games, so some of that maybe has to do with them playing catch-up. Their defense was not nearly as good, so they didn't play with a lot of leads. And they also had trouble running the football. It was a very weird season for the Jets in a lot of ways. Yep. So I don't know if maybe some of that wasn't necessarily just, Rodgers. It could have just been the circumstances of the game and the team. So I think, to be honest, like if they can really, truly have a good marriage between the run and the pass, then this thing will probably work okay. I have a lot of questions about, A, what can they actually run the ball with any effectiveness? And B, even if they're not running effectively, will Arthur Smith eventually go back to what he knows? And I think the answer is definitively yes.
For anyone who doesn't remember, Arthur Smith was the head coach of the Falcons and was a fantasy team killer by not giving the ball to his premier weapons, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Will he do that in Pittsburgh? He doesn't have that many premier weapons. He's got DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth, pretty much. We'll see.
And to me, it was also like it's funny because when you think about it, when he was an offensive coordinator in Tennessee, he had Derrick Henry, so he was like, I'm just gonna give the ball to Derrick Henry nonstop. Last year, he had Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, and he still was treating them like they were Derrick Henry combined. Like he still was like, we're gonna run the ball. So it doesn't seem like personnel necessarily impacts him in terms of his play calling.
Well, there are a lot of people like Caleb Johnson, their rookie out of Iowa.
Yeah.
Rookie running backs can be effective. Maybe he's the guy. Because Jalen Warren's not really a primary back kind of guy. He's a mix-up kind of back, and he has his moments. And they did bring in DK Metcalf, but their wide receiving core is still mediocre at best. Look at the depth chart. DK Metcalf joined by Calvin Austin. They said yesterday is their number 2. Calvin Austin is not a high-end number 2. They have Robert Woods. They have Roman Wilson out of Michigan, who was hurt last year. They just don't have a load of talent at the skill position.
And to be honest, when I think about DK Metcalf, I know you love when I use this term. I don't think of him as a target merchant. He's more of like a big play guy. So when you talk about the volume of throws, I think what you'll see is similar to what you kind of did see in Tennessee, where remember it was Derrick Henry, and then bomb to AJ Brown. Like that's how the Tennessee Titans beat you. I think they kind of do something. They're going to do something similar this year, where it's going to be run the football, and Aaron Rodgers throw the ball deep to DK Metcalf. I don't know if they have the receiving depth to throw the ball 35 times a game. They might not have the pieces, which is kind of why I know people were, saying gotta get George Pickens out of there. I would have liked to have seen they could have made that work. Because I do think if you had Pickens and DK Metcalf, then you got Roman Wilson as a slot. I feel like, okay, now we can have more of a complete passing game. Now it feels like it's going to be a little bit of DK or bust.
Well, Pickens had a lot of bad drops last year.
True.
Pickens did not play well. That was kind of lost at all. The George Pickens has a lot of talent. Makes these crazy 50-50 plays, but he will drop the football and then he'll complain about targets.
And give you a 15-yard penalty.
The thing with the Steelers, they got to keep their defense healthy. They got to keep Highsmith and Watt coming at you. Those guys wore down last year. So there's a lot going on in Pittsburgh. All right, let's get the headlines. Andrew Bogus, what do you got?
Guys, however you want to break down the blame, the Thunder committed 19 turnovers in Game 3 of the NBA Finals last night, leading to 21 Pacer points, helping lead to a 116-107 Indy win and a 2-1 series lead. Mark Daigneault's team averaged a league-low 11.7 giveaways per game during the regular season.
The turnovers were uncharacteristic. Obviously, we're usually pretty clean there. I give them credit. I thought they played really well. They played with great energy. They were physical. They pressured. They sustained it for much of the 48.
Even with the sloppy play, OKC was ahead a few minutes into the fourth quarter, but eventually got outscored by 14 in those final 12 minutes, missing 11 of 17 shots.
In the fourth quarter, I just thought they really outplayed us on both ends. I thought they were in character in terms of their physicality, their pressure on defense, and then they were in character in terms of their pace on offense, and they just stacked way more quality possessions in the fourth quarter than we did.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander managed to take just 3 shots in that fourth, hitting one of them. He finished with 24 points after breaking 30 in each of the first 2 games. He also had 6 of those 19 turnovers. Tyrese Haliburton, meanwhile, had his best game of the finals, 21 points and 11 assists. And Benedict Mathurin outscored the Thunder bench by himself with 27 points in 22 minutes.
Is this the NBA Finals with the most impactful Canadians ever?
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. And I keep hearing these interviews. I'm like, oh, there's another brother with a Canadian accent. It's like Mathurin, Nembhard, Shea, Dort. I'm like, this is basically, I'm still talking about a USA versus World NBA All-Star game. He's got it in the NBA Finals.
I've been waiting for that. I'm Team Canada basketball fan for a long time. And you know what?
Like 18 months, right?
No. I was like 3 years ago. I was talking, but this was this is a total Perloff take that the Canadian team is going to be good. Because I have all these friends in Canada. Don't ask why. They've been telling me, we got a lot of basketball here. Mathurin's from Montreal, and the rest of the guys are from Toronto. Help me out with that one. So there's a Montreal basketball scene, too? They talked about that last night a little bit.
Isn't Dort from Quebec as well?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I think Dort is also from Quebec. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly been Toronto, but you will get some BC guys, too. Gonzaga's recruited a bunch of BC guys as well. British Columbia, Vancouver area has some good ball. Canada,
Where's Kelly Olynyk from?
He's from British Columbia.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, wait. Who are the BC guys? Because I feel like they all came up in Toronto.
Kelly Olynyk is one. I know he didn't make the NBA, but Kevin Pangos had a cup of coffee.
So you're a Gonzaga fan?
Yeah. So there's some guys.
Yeah, but it's not like this army of talent coming from Toronto.
I'm not saying it was. I'm saying by the way? There are other places where there are good Canadian basketball players.
My narrative is that they all watched Vince Carter as a kid and wanted to play basketball. Is that true, or am I making that up?
It's 100% right. No, they say that a big reason why you've seen the explosion of Canadian basketball, especially in Toronto, because you're right, it is more than Vancouver, is because the Raptors got really good and Vince Carter was an icon. And a lot of kids wanted to then go play basketball. And now you're seeing great players coming out of Canada every year. Every year you're going to have a guy drafted probably in the lottery or in the first round from Canada. Multiple guys probably.
Okay, so we'll see what other players have been in the finals. So Jamal Murray, Canadian, actually won a finals. Yep. You could argue that. Obviously, has Dylan Brooks...
He's never been in the finals.
He's never been in the finals. He's had a lot of playoff games. Andrew Wiggins... Obviously, he's won a playoff. He's like the OG Canadian guy.
Yeah, he won.
Forgot he was there.
Steve Nash is from British Columbia.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Steve Nash, but he never really won anything.
So a couple MVPs,
right? Kind of good though.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker, of course, grew up with SGA.
Didn't know that.
2 Western Conference Finals.
Crazy fact.
So
Brandon Clark also from British Columbia, the Memphis Grizzlies.
So we're gonna have at least how many we got? You got Nembhard. And you got Lou Dort and SGA. Is there who else? Is that it?
Mathurin.
And Mathurin. So you got 4 guys. So we're going to have a bunch of Canadian winners. Yeah, but that being said, they still don't seem like a dangerous Olympic team. They were not impressing me last year. I was all into them. I think I picked them.
Well, they were undefeated until they lost. They lost to France.
Most teams are.
Yeah. I mean, they were undefeated in the tournament.
I know.
Until they lost. Whenever they lost the quarterfinal or whatever. But I mean, they were what, bronze medalists in the World Cup. So I think they're going to be dangerous. They're probably the second best team in the world.
Yeah, I feel like those older European teams, they got to get mature and older. Look back. Anyway, I'm not going to break down the international basketball scene.
Aww.
My favorite, the best
I was
dunk.
doing it though.
The best dunk, and who my guy is Shaden Sharp, because that dunk he had during the season where his head was about a foot over the rim.
Perloff, what do you think RJ Barrett's role will be with the Canadian national team?
Yeah. Now RJ Barrett, he's 6'8" or 6'9". How tall is he? 6'7"?
6.
He has 4 dunks in his entire life. He's such a
a
tall guy under the rim. Not
Not
an
true. He has some nice left-handed power.
Oh, yeah. He put some dudes on a poster when he was wearing blue and orange. Yeah. I digress.
I'm going to look up the dunk numbers on RJ Barrett. Oh, my God.
You want to give a dunk highlight. Part of me is like, should I get into this? But remember we had a conversation about Jeff Teague, and I was like, Jeff Teague in Wake Forest is a great athlete. No, he wasn't. And I sent you a video of 10 Jeff
I said he
Jeff
wasn't
Teague
a good player.
Posters. No, I also said he was a great dunker. You were like, he wasn't a dunker.
Was he in the slam dunk contest?
No, but I said at Wake Forest he can dunk on people. You were like, I don't believe that. And I sent you a video that you did not respond to, by the way. That hurt my feelings.
So. You didn't even watch it.
How many dunks does SGA have?
He's not a dunker.
God, it's amazing. He is. I think that's one of the reasons. I don't buy the small market stuff. I think SGA not dunking the ball is going to hurt the NBA ratings. Somebody throw one down. All right, back to you, folks.
The U.S. Open at Oakmont is underway, kind of. Maxwell Moldovan, he's new to me. That might be his last name. He has the very early lead, an eagle 2 on the opening hole. One shot clear of 3 golfers here very early on.
So much for this tough course.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau is on his first hole. Rory McIlroy about to tee off. It happened again last night in Colorado.
1-2 pitch. He swings, bounces one right side, and that's through into right center. Here comes Ramos around third. He'll score without a throw. The Giants' 10th run of the night. Another RBI for Yastrzemski.
Nico lost money off of that game.
As heard on Giants radio, San Francisco scoring 7 times over its last 2 at-bats for a second straight come-from-behind win over those Rockies. This time the final 10-7. San Francisco's win streak is now 7. The Orioles thumped the Tigers 10-1. The Astros took care of the White Sox 10-2. And the Yankees, 6-3 winners in KC. Aaron Judge went deep for the 3rd game in a row.
4th in 3 games, too.
The Raiders are reportedly adding veteran linebacker Jermaine Pratt shortly after Cincy released him. And from the WNBA last night, The Lynx were undefeated until they lost. 9-1 now on the year, 94-84 in Seattle last night. Guys, back to you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Manny.
you, Bogues.
I was the only one that caught it.
I appreciate it. I'll take 1 for 4.
No, I understand. I mean, EJ's math was spot on, though. Like, spot the lie.
Boy math.
Okay. Believe me. Are you, so you, again, I'm going to pin you here. Are you picking Canada to win the next gold medal in the Olympic basketball?
Y'all see what he's doing, right?
Well,
I'm not the only one here. I feel like Jim Halpert sometimes, but he asks me questions. I got to look around. I'm like, everybody see what
No. I feel like here's the
Well, you're
bottom
the first
line.
one you started this by saying you're a fan of Canadian basketball.
You should be picking them.
I like
and I was
no, I know,
like,
but
they got a
they
lot of
let
good
me down
players.
this year. They burned me. They're gonna have to earn my trust back. But I do feel like you're like, well,
You should
know
have to
what?
earn your passport back after backing them in the Olympics.
I feel like you guys say I flip flop, but EJ comes in and says the Knicks have no chance against the Celtics, and they win game 1 or whatever, and he's like, yep,
Or whatever.
call that. And then he's like,
Not true. Not true. Did not happen. Did not happen.
He picks the
he kept saying,
Thunder.
you guys, I said job not finished after game 1 and 2, and then he was like, why aren't you picking them? I'm like, job not finished. I'm waiting until the series is over.
He picks the Thunder in 6 over the Pacers, and then I come in and say, man, I'm shocked that the Pacers won that game. He's like, nope, I saw that coming.
Well, because when I said it was going to be at least a 6-game series, you said no.
I said
5. This before the finals
Yeah.
was even set, by the way. This is the T-Wolves and the Thunder are playing. The Knicks and the Pacers are saying, you're saying, look, when the Thunder get through with the T-Wolves, they're going to smack the Eastern Conference. I said, that's not going to happen. I didn't even know who they're going to play. I said, it's going to be at least a 6-game series.
Okay. Anyway, I was surprised. EJ was not surprised at all by what happened last night. That's fair.
How can he be surprised by something that I said was going to happen? I don't understand.
Said what was going to happen?
That was going to be a 6-game series.
Right, but you were not surprised by how that game went down last
No,
night?
Andre asked me before who he's going to win tonight. I said, I got Pacers.
Mm-hmm. Did you say it on the Maggie Perloff show yesterday?
No, nobody asked.
All right.
Is it not true? Is it true or not true, guys?
I don't know. I don't know that you did earn this victory lap today. But anyway.
Okay.
You think you did. You're like, I called that one.
We said, again.
Because you told Andrea.
The clips are on
You told Andrea. You told your fiance that they were going to win, and you're coming in here bragging about how you called it yesterday. I told my tortoise.
Clips on social media, this is going to be a 5-game series or a sweep. I said no. I said a bunch of times, this is going to be a good series, tough series. It's Eastern not a JV league. I mean, you think you have a victory lap today? You're the one who's saying that.
I don't think I have a victory lap. But I didn't come in and say.
They want to come batting you on that.
I just need to hear the takes before the game, not after the game.
What part of it's going to be a 6-game series in the NBA Finals is not a take?
Who's winning game 4, Mr. Genius?
I said Thunder. I said it already.
Okay. Well, that's easy. They're favorites, right? What's the spread on that one? I like
told
that.
my tortoise.
I mean, honestly, I told my fiance we were going to win the game. Like, this is a national
That's the
sports
only
talk
time
radio show.
that
That
someone asked me
is
for a
weak, dude. That is weak.
It's weak. What do you mean it's weak? You're the one who
It's
said this
so
was going to be a
weak.
sweep.
You're
You said it was gonna be
bragging
a
about
sweep.
telling your fiance before the game.
You
that this
asked
team
me
would-
what I thought was going to happen. I told you what I said. I don't know what you want me to lie. What do you want me to say?
No, I do
Or you
not.
want me to just not tell you what happened?
Were you on mic yesterday during the show?
Yeah.
You have plenty of opportunities to say.
Did we even talk Pacers Thunder yesterday? I don't think we did.
All right.
Yes.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Because look at that rundown yesterday. I made it. Did you see Pacers Thunder on there? I don't think you do.
Really? Did you remember? Let me get my tortoise on because I told him that the Panthers were going to beat the Oilers in Game 3. Yeah. Give me a break. All right, coming up next.
Don't make me call my fiance. She'll get on the air.
I'd love to hear what she says. All right, coming up next, we're going to have an update on Deion Sanders. Looks like things are looking up for Colorado. That's next. Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, EJ. Yes. EJ sitting in for Maggie today, Maggie and Perloff show. So, no surprise, Saquon Barkley jumped to the top of another list. Didn't jump to the top of the MVP last year, which could have happened. He was the most marketable player in the NFL, topped the NFLPA sales list, which they put together every year. Saquon 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, Jalen Hurts of the Eagles 3, Jaden Daniels 4, and CJ Stroud 5. Not a big surprise. A lot of the newer guys are at the top of the sales list because you don't have their jersey yet. Like, I mean, most people have an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes jersey. I mean, Mahomes is sticky at 2. Josh Allen was 6 on here. So here's my question for you, EJ.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. Now everyone in Philly's got their Barkley jersey. Who is next year's surprise number 1 most marketable guy?
Well, I think number 1, I think you're going to see Jaden Daniels go from 4 to 1.
Okay, I like it.
I think he becomes the guy because I think
Do they have to win?
I think they will. Yeah, they have to, but I think they will. I think they're going to be maybe not like I don't know if they're going to win that. I mean, they won 10 last year. Like they'll probably win something around there. But I think he's going to be another explosive superstar athlete. He's going to get more national TV games. I think there's going to be a lot more attention on him. I think the one thing you were asking me before, though, is going to be if someone jumps into this list, who's it going to be? I know you have a guy. I hope it's not the same guy as me. The first guy I thought was Ashton Janty. Because what I think about is explosive playability, youth, and team. Raider gear is extremely popular. They don't have any players really to get on this list, and they're a really bad team. But if the Raiders are good, you don't think that people are going to want that black and silver Ashton Janty jerseys? I mean, that's going to be atop of all kids' Christmas lists if he's a 1,500-yard back as a rookie, which I think is actually possible considering the kind of team they have. So he'd be a guy that if you want to see a guy who's going to jump up into this top 5 out of nowhere, I'd take a rookie, and Janty would be my first pick.
Okay. This guy who I have jumping up was number 20 this year, which shocks me because he should be top 5 to me. I still think, and a lot of my friends think, Jahmyr Gibbs is the most exciting player in the NFL, the Lions running back. No, he cuts like Barry Sanders. He's strong. He's fast. Now, he shares carries in that backfield because I think they worry about his durability.
Yeah.
But if the Lions are good this year, they lost Ben Johnson. Their defense was all injured last year. I think Jahmyr Gibbs' stardom just goes up and up, and I think people start to feature him because, to me, he's the highlight player of the NFL. There's a few players who just move differently to me, and I'm not saying he's as great as him, but when Randy Moss came to the NFL, like, oh, that guy moves different.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders completely moved differently. To me, Saquon was a little bit like that. When he would break one, it was different, but the cuts for Jahmyr Gibbs are just so insane. Last year, there was a social media post where he had a long touchdown run and they put it to video game music. Yeah. He is like a video game creation to me. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is, if the Lions don't take a major step back, possible. But if they're good again, I think Jahmyr Gibbs should be much more marketable. I'm surprised he was 20 this year.
I'll be honest. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is super exciting. I love watching him play. I like watching the Lions play. Outside of I think us NFL nerds, I don't know very much children, but I don't feel like he's really breaking through in that way. I don't feel like when I walk around New York City, one thing about kids is that you'll see kids in all different kinds of jerseys. It's not going to be just Jets and Giants because kids, when they're young, you kind of like all players. Yep. And I don't see kids in Jahmyr Gibbs jerseys. They're really Lions jerseys. I don't know if they've cracked through in that way for young people.
Hutchinson is 7 on this list, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is 8. Now, St. Brown seems to be having some health issues. I don't totally get it because Gibbs was part of a platoon too. I mean, David Montgomery. I just think that you saw it last year. They're like, well, this is the best guy on the field. We're going to make sure he touches it more. So we'll see. Also, will that offense still be good without their coach? You know, people forget this. Aiden Hutchinson, if he didn't get hurt last year,
he was a defensive player of the year.
Yeah, he was a defensive player of the year, and I think the Lions might have been a much stronger contender to win the whole thing.
I think they would have been in the Super Bowl. I love the Eagles.
I think so. I mean, they lost Aiden McNeil, too, who's their second best defensive player.
Yeah, and he's
they had a lot of injuries back and forth. But if Aiden Hutchinson is back and plays like himself, then I don't think the Lions fall off. But a lot of people are pointing off as the team that might take a step back is the Detroit Lions. If they take a step forward, then I'm buying the Jahmyr Gibbs jersey. And I shouldn't be out there shilling for the dude, but I think, he's pretty exciting. You know who... Lamar Jackson's 18 on this list. That strikes me as odd because he should be kind of right there with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, perennial top 10. Why do people not buying the Jackson jersey?
I'll be honest. I think what he's done is become a little bit taken for granted. It's a little ho-hum. I think, he's a veteran now. We've seen this before. He hasn't quite cracked through in the playoffs. I don't know if he's really attracting new fans with how he plays.
All right, coming up, we're back to the Mount Olympus, 4 sports gods of every major sports city. We have the perfect one, Indianapolis, coming your way.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
All right.
Maggie Perloff, smooth as glass, but pixel shine, the stream so fast. Is it magic or is it fate? Or maybe Pilates just showed up late.
Dailies in the chat, flowing out doubt, saying my stream skills are playing tricks now. Siakam's glitching, Ryan's cutting out. With the pixelated shout, but Maggie and Perloff, smooth as can be, crystal clear feed, perfect HD. Never asking, is it sabotage or just a case of Andrew Perloff loves his turtle, call it chill shot bliss. He feeds it kale and lettuce, then gives it a little kiss. Andrew Bogus's turtles got a mansion in the tank with a slide, a tiny hammock, and a treasure chest bank. Two-tone Tony rolls in, his turtles got swag, cruising slow but steady, repping that reptile flag. Meanwhile, Kevin Lamel's got tacos on his plate. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's got no time to wait. Turtle love, taco dreams, Andrew and Andrew living supreme. Two-ton Tony, slow and steady crew. Kevin's got breakfast tacos, what's Peter gonna do? Yo, Perloff's turtles chillin', basking in the heat. Bogush's turtles flexing, got gold chains on its feet. Tony's turtles on TikTok, racking up views, while Kevin's tacos sizzle, serving up the news. But Pilates MIA, not a damn thing new. Work? Nah, he'd rather just hit snooze. We're out here hustling, making turtles the stars, and Pete's just ghosting like he's hanging on Mars. Turtle love, taco dreams, Andrew and Andrew living supreme. Two-ton Tony, slow and steady crew. Kevin's got breakfast tacos, what's Peter gonna do? Yo, Perloff's turtle spotlight. the stage, while Pilates excuses keep showing his age. Those turtles named LeBron, Boogers calls his taco just for the show. So these turtles trained in breaking the mold. Kevin's got a taco so spicy it's gold. And Pete, yeah, fuck that guy, still a no-show.
Fit through a lot of attention last night, almost as much as the game. What was he wearing? He was kind of wearing a tight yellow hoodie with a Mark Jackson jersey on top of it, tucked into his jeans.
It was half tucked in.
Half tucked in.
Only the front crotch part was tucked in. I didn't even get what that was about.
I mean, John Haliburton also, I mean, his jeans, they look like 4 different pairs of jeans that were cut up into one. I don't know what the heck
This
he
was
was
definitely
wearing.
old guy going to the club look for both of those gentlemen.
Yeah, we're about to do our Mount Olympus 4 sports gods for every major city.
Where John Haliburton rank upon?
Today's Indianapolis, it's fitting because it felt like it was a celebration of Pacers history last night. Did you see Lance Stevenson there in the crowd? There were all sorts of former Pacers celebrating it, and it was a celebration because home court made a huge difference last night in Indianapolis's win over OKC. Not just as OKC showing their youth and not really stepping up on the road. I feel like that Indiana home court got them fired up. Then you add in the little pesky TJ McConnell, their backup point guard, getting everyone fired up. EJ, I've been giving you a hard time because I'm saying that you're taking a victory lap when none was earned. But I think you kind of did see the series flipping as it went from OKC to Indianapolis.
Yeah. I think we talked about it. The only thing I think we did say yesterday, I said that, if things change when this series flips. Like, this is going to be different when it gets to Indiana, and that's what happened. And to me, I just felt like the Pacers really didn't have a great game yet. Like, to me, those first 2 games, they won game 1, but they really did not play well for 3 quarters and a half. Like, they were dominated in that game, and they were dominated in game 2. I just didn't think, to me, that you were going to see them get dominated 3 games in a row. Rick Carlisle is going to make adjustments. They're going to be playing at home. Yeah. That crowd was incredible. He talking about how great the OKC crowd was. I mean, that Indiana crowd also was phenomenal. They're going to be phenomenal for the rest of the series. So I knew that had to give them a little bit of a boost. I think what was disappointing for the Thunder side, which is what you've been pointing out, is you would have thought they would have been a little bit more ready for the moment and understanding the urgency at hand. You're talking about being out-hustled, the careless turnovers, the careless play overall. Yeah. If you're a team that's a 68-win team that has championship aspirations, you would hope that you don't see those kind of plays in this kind of game. But it's the NBA Finals. Those other guys are on scholarship too. And we've seen the Pacers do this to so many other teams. I think they deserve a lot of credit for really bucking the trend of what you see in playoff basketball. Everyone wants to shrink rotations and play a more conservative style, and the Pacers are like, no, we're going to run more, and we're going to play more guys, more minutes. We're going to spread this out. We're not going to just say, hey, we're just going to ride our starters till the end, and it's actually benefiting because Mathurin and McConnell are coming in fresh legs, and they're just cooking the guys on the bench. And when those guys don't play well, he panics and say, all right, I got to go back to my starters.
He did last night. I don't think that's a pattern for him necessarily, is it?
No, I'm saying he panicked last night. I'm saying, he panicked last night, and then he says, I got to play the stars more minutes. What that means is those guys aren't going to have fresh legs late in the fourth quarter, and that's what you saw.
See, I actually give more blame to the Thunder in this equation than you do. 3 plays summed it up to me. Made baskets by Indiana. The Pacers are sort of half-heartedly hanging around the basket. 3 steals off inbounds off made baskets, and they were lazy passes. I think the Thunder looked disinterested. They looked tired, even though they had an extra day of rest. They were sloppy. I felt like I know that their style, they're kind of laid-back guys, some of them. Like Jalen Williams strikes me as a little bit of a laid-back, kind of quiet guy. I don't know him, obviously. But I felt like there was no fire, and to me, I mean, these turnovers were absolutely ridiculous. You're inbounding the ball and you throw it straight into the chest of TJ McConnell as if you're barely paying attention. Do you understand where you are, Thunder? You're in the NBA Finals. Completely inexcusable.
Well, they weren't. That's the problem. They weren't paying attention. But again, the Pacers are one of those teams where the things that you think are gimmies are easy, they aren't. So you have to box out Obi Toppin on a run-in in the game. The McConnell play you're talking about in the fourth quarter, you think they're throwing an easy inbound pass, he's not paying attention. McConnell is waiting for you to throw that pass. That was a great steal, that fourth quarter play.
There was another one. I was just watching the highlights on TV. I don't remember who had the steal. Like the guy was standing right in front of him and almost hit him in the head. Well, that's I can't go here. That you have to get that pass in. The Pacers were not doing anything like that. Is not a thing that the Pacers do where they steal the inbounds pass again and again and again. That was unusual.
It is kind of what they do. They pressure inbounds. That's
after a made basket. Did they do that against?
They played full court. Yes, the Knicks had problems getting the ball in bounds
after made baskets in transition. They weren't even pressing on these.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. I thought. I mean, the Thunder.
I kept complaining. I'm like, why can't they get the ball? Why can't someone else just bring the ball up? Why do they keep trying to give the ball to Jalen Brunson when they're playing? Like this again. I sound like a broken record. This is what the Pacers do to you. They make things that should be easy difficult, and they can do that because they're playing so many guys. So many spread out minutes. Guys are coming in fresh legs.
So the Thunder obviously destroyed them in the turnover battle in Game 1, 25-7. Won the turnover battle in Game 2, and then actually the turnover battle was pretty close last night.
Yeah,
the
17-14.
The Thunder are really the turnover team. I mean, that's what they do. They get their hand in on the dribble. But the Pacers, I think, learned a couple lessons too. Like, we're not going to dribble too much around. I mean, we're going to let Haliburton dribble, but nobody else dribble. So the Pacers made adjustments. The Thunder did not. So the Pacers were able to cut down on their turnovers just enough to help themselves. They still had a couple sloppy plays. Miles Turner sets a moving high pick. They still have their flaws. Trust me.
Yeah.
Not everybody played a great game. I think Miles Turner was very good on defense, was not great on offense last night. I think the Thunder need to wake up. They need smelling salts because they looked like zombies last night. All right, everything's coming up Indianapolis. Fitting, because we are going to the Mount Olympus for Indianapolis sports gods. Hit the music.
It's time to feast your ears on Maggie and Perloff's Mount Olympus.
All right, Maggie is not here today, but she sent in her list. I will start with my 4 sports gods of Indianapolis.
Maggie victorious yesterday, by the way, in the poll for Washington, D.C.
Ooh, okay. That was a tough one. Sports gods was a strong word for everything I was saying.
68.2 to 31.8.
Okay. Thanks, Manny. Did anybody ask you that question, by the way? Nico, did you ask Manny to give the poll results?
I did not.
Huh, interesting. Okay. I'll do Indianapolis. Let's start with Peyton Manning. I don't even really think this needs much explanation. Peyton Manning turned around a woebegone Colts franchise. A little disappointing in the playoffs at times, but he certainly did get them their Super Bowl win in 2006. Ran into a lot of Tom Brady. It's not just that. I think he became part of the fabric of Indianapolis. I know he lives in Denver now.
The Broncos quarterback?
Broncos quarterback.
Yeah, he settled in Denver, and I get it. It's a nice town, but still has a place in Indianapolis, and he is Indianapolis sports. I know Indiana, we're going to do a lot of basketball. It's a basketball state, but Peyton made it also a football state. So that one is easy. The second guy, we saw him a lot last night. Got to put an Indiana Pacer on there, and who is Mr. Pacer? It's Reggie Miller. Didn't win a title. Obviously had his famous moments, mostly against EJ's Knicks. But not only was he a great Pacer, he also became a broadcaster and was a national game, the voice of the Pacers during these national games against the Knicks. So he has maintained his Indiana Pacers fandom. Reggie is, I think it's one of those guys. Was he in the conversation with Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson? No. But was he tied to a team like those guys? Yes. He was dedicated to that franchise. You never heard a peep of him, hey, I want to go back to L.A. or anything like that. Reggie Miller, Mr. Pacer, easy choice. Number 3, it's not Indianapolis, but Bob Knight is my first basketball choice for not just college, but just basketball in general. Bob Knight defines Indiana basketball, arguably in many people's minds. I know it's controversial, the greatest college basketball coach of all time because he was so influential. Coach K is a product of Bob Knight. A lot of things you see in modern basketball coaching came from Bob Knight. Yep. Now, his personality eventually wore thin in Indiana, but he turned them into a blue blood, a powerhouse. I love old school Bob Knight when he was wearing that plaid jacket and he had Isaiah.
That's real old school.
Then he went to the red sweater, which was also iconic. Listen, Bob Knight's not for everybody, but we're talking about sports gods, transcending normal coaches and transcending normal players. Bob Knight didn't feel like he fit with anybody. He was just above them. And of course, we often argue about the movie Blue Chips, where Nick Nolte played a Bob Knight-like character.
One of
we'll
my
put
favorites
that in there.
of all time.
Okay, 4th spot was interesting. So do I go with somebody who's from Indianapolis or the Indianapolis area? Basketball legend, a lot of Indiana high school hoops gods. Do I go with another Pacer? Is Tyrese Haliburton already earning his way onto this list? A little early. So I went back to football. And if you're going to do a second Colt, I know Reggie Wayne is a Hall of Fame level player and has a lot of connections in Indianapolis, but it's got to be Marvin Harrison, because Marvin Harrison Jr. was one of the dominant receivers in the NFL. I think his personality was so low key. I'm sorry, Marvin Harrison. Did I just call him Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I was like, is he a junior and maybe the other guy's a third?
People forget about Marvin Harrison on the Colts. He was the best player on this team other than Peyton Manning, and he was really right there many, many years as the best wide receiver in football. He's 3-time first-team All-Pro. To be All-Pro wide receiver, you have to be really, really good, because this was in the era of Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, and he was right there.
Yep.
So 3-team first-team All-Pro, 5-time second-team All-Pro, obviously 8 Pro Bowls, million catches, million receiving yards. Personality was quiet, went back to his hometown of Philadelphia, my hometown of Philadelphia afterwards, but he was the second greatest player. No offense to Dwight Freeney, no offense to Reggie Wayne, no offense to Edgerrin James. He was the second greatest player of this Colts sort of run, so I'm putting Marvin Harrison as my 4th sports god. All right, EJ, let's go to you. What did Maggie send in for her 4 sports gods of Indianapolis?
Okay, so interesting picks there, Pearl. I think good picks. I liked a lot of them. Maggie's picks, interesting as well. So let's start with the first pick. Larry Legend, Larry Bird. So an interesting pick there. Bird never played for the Pacers, but of course, Indiana legend from French Lick, played at Indiana State, took them to a national championship game, played in maybe the most famous national championship game ever, arguably, between Magic and Larry Bird in college. So Bird,
and of course he worked in the front office.
I was going to say, yes. Then also went to the front office, coached them to a an NBA Finals, coached them to the NBA Finals, right? Then they also Lakers. So Larry Bird, synonymous with Indianapolis. But he gets 1 pick.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Is he called the Hick from Indianapolis?
No.
Is he's called something else? He's called the Hick from French Lick.
Correct.
And how far is French Lick from Indianapolis? Has anyone Googled it?
I don't know. That I didn't know. I looked up where Indiana State is compared to Indianapolis, and that is pretty close, about an hour and a half.
Okay, it's 2 hours from
105
Indianapolis.
miles.
So I'm just saying, it's not the state of Indiana, it's Indianapolis.
But you put Bob Knight on your list, so. And he's Bloomington.
Yeah, but Bloomington's a lot closer.
But Indiana State
is about an hour.
Yeah, Indiana State though is.
So you're doing Indiana State.
That's what I did when I looked it up when Maggie sent me the list. I can feel like I'm defending Maggie.
All right, you're going Indiana State. Okay,
so that's what she did. Number 2, Reggie Miller. I'm not gonna say anything more about him because I hate him. No. All kidding aside, Reggie Miller, great player. Synonymous with the Pacers. He is Mr. Pacer, so he of course was a spot on this list. Number 3, Maggie put Peyton Manning as well.
Yeah.
So Peyton Manning, obviously the greatest quarterback that ever played for the Colts, really kind of made Indianapolis football a thing because they kind of were meandering franchise before he got there. So he gets 3rd spot. 4th spot, I cannot wait to see your reaction to this. I think it's a stunner. Caitlin Clark gets the 4th spot for Maggie's Mount Olympus. So Caitlin Clark, rookie of the year last year, took the Fever to the playoffs last year. Now back in this year, was an early favorite for MVP, but of course had injured Fever kind of feeling their way out through early this season. We'll see what they do. But Caitlin Clark, after just 1 year playing in Indiana, makes Maggie's Mount Olympus of sports gods.
Okay, it's a choice.
It's a choice.
I don't even know.
That's the best
Are we doing
got,
Iowa?
man?
Are we doing Iowa?
Well,
yeah, I mean,
look,
obviously
he plays for the Indiana team.
It's obviously ridiculous.
Really, obviously ridiculous. Why?
What has she done in Indiana?
Here's what I will say. Now, Maggie did not give me any background, so this is me being like a defense lawyer who has not talked to the actual defendant. But I'll try here.
You're a public prosecutor.
I wonder if Maggie is saying, when this is all said and done, will it look odd in 5, 10, 15, 20 years that we did an Indiana Mount Olympus and Caitlin Clark wasn't there? I think we would say probably yes.
Right.
And I feel like I'm trying to think like Maggie, and when I'm a producer, I have to learn how to think like both you and Maggie at many times during this job. I feel like that's probably her case. Her case is like she's already shown to be a star. She's an all-star already, and the Fever are one of the teams that people are expecting to do something in the playoffs this year, and we know what she's probably about to become. So it'd be crazy. It'd be like LeBron in year 2 not being in the Mount Olympus of Cleveland.
Yeah, of course LeBron would not be in the Mount Olympus of Cleveland in year 2. After scoring 20 points a game as a rookie, like that would have been insane.
He was a great rookie. I mean,
he won Rookie of the Year. Who won Rookie of the Year in the NBA this year? Was,
you don't think LeBron? I mean, this is a whole
LeBron and Weir Young
was amazing.
You're saying a 20-year-old LeBron after scoring 20 points a game as a rookie would have been on the Mount Olympus of Cleveland sports?
He might have, yeah.
Well, that would have been nuts. Just like this is nuts.
I'm saying. I mean, again, I'm the defense lawyer. I'm making the case.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would have put LeBron on there, but I think people would say this is the chosen one. He has arrived. I think for Indiana, I think they're saying for Caitlin Clark, she is the chosen one. She's arrived. So if we're doing a Mount Olympus, we know where she's going to end up. So that's why you have her there on the 4th spot on the Mount Olympus.
I'm not even going to dignify this with an argument, to be honest,
Really?
because it's just stupid. But and I would say that if Maggie was here, like, come on, we're arguing about the structure of the Mount Olympus too. It's not about is Caitlin Clark great? Of course she is, but you're going on potential, which we haven't done with any other Mount Olympus. So the guys that, by the way, I left off. If we're doing sports gods for Indiana, like, don't you have to consider high school basketball? Because that's what defines the Indy 500 and high school basketball to me are Indiana. Obviously, the movie Hoosiers. I wanted to put Jimmy Chitwood on there, but that was probably not allowed. To me, if you were to, I think there's an interesting discussion. If you're going to pick one high school player from Indiana, I think the choice is easy. There's a lot of famous players from there, but I think it would have had to been Damon Bailey, who, if people of a certain age know, there was, obviously there are high school players who get a lot of hype. Cooper Flagg got a lot of hype. Zion Williamson got a lot of hype. Kenny Anderson got a lot of hype. Damon Bailey was this cult figure. He was this little guy in wherever he was in Indiana who was just getting national headlines. And then he went on to Indiana, had a good career, probably a little bit disappointing, but he was the truth. I wanted to put him on so bad. And we're going to have John Wertheim from SI and, of course, 60 Minutes, who's from Indiana, come on and evaluate our list. I think Damon Bailey is an interesting one. I also think Steve Alford could have gotten some play in this one.
I think to me, if there was anybody, I would have said Steve Alford maybe deserved the spot. He played in Indiana, was a star in Indiana, won a national championship, Indiana legend. I kind of feel like, I wonder if his coaching career kind of sours him a little bit.
Well, I feel like, Alford was obviously a sports god, no doubt, but Damon Bailey was something completely different. Like, he was like Jeremy Lin of high school basketball when Jeremy Lin hit with the Knicks. He was a phenom. And then the drivers, I think Tony Stewart from Indianapolis. We're not really doing from. I think if you were to pick,
he's a solo athlete, so I think he could have counted.
Yeah, I mean, he's also Mr. Indianapolis. He really represents the city, and obviously did both kinds of racing. Did Indy car racing and did NASCAR. AJ Foyt, if you were thinking of Indy car racers. So there are a lot of strong candidates. I like what Maggie did. It was bold, but I just don't think it makes any sense. I think it's way out of character. Are we putting Victor Wembanyama on the San Antonio sports gods? If we do, it doesn't make any sense to me. But you can weigh in. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476.
Poll is up on Twitter, by the way, as well.
I'll say this, Pearl. I like your list. You had 3 of the people I would have put on here. There's one guy I think you messed up on.
Harrison.
It was Harrison, but it's not. It's not who you think. I'm not going to be a homer and say Reggie Wayne.
Well, who would you?
I think Tony Dungy deserves that last spot. Tony Dungy, I think he was definitely kind of like a true like statesman for the Colts, statesman for Indianapolis football. When I think of Colts football, I think of both him and Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
and he's a big figure now, still on television. I think that to me, he got there. They had all those playoff losses, and then they finally got over the top. I would have put Tony Dungy being the first black coach to win a Super Bowl also. That meant a lot, I think, for a lot of people.
But did it mean a lot to Indianapolis? Or did it mean a lot nationally?
There's a lot of Indianapolis. There's a lot of black folks in
Indianapolis. But to me, like, that puts him on the Mount Olympus of coaches. Like, it doesn't really tying to a city.
Right, but just like Doug Williams. Like Doug Williams, though.
Yeah, and I didn't.
But the difference, though, to me, is Doug Williams, you could say it was kind of like it was a 1-year thing. Like there wasn't a sustained Doug Williams run with the Washington football team. Here with Tony Dungy, like they became a superpower, and he was one of the best coaches in the NFL. And he won a Super Bowl. I would just argue it's one of those, like, Jackie Robinson did not go on either of our New York City Mount Olympuses, but he would go on the national Mount Olympus. So it kind of has a little feel like that. But the Tony Dungy would have made perfect sense because he's tied into Indianapolis. He's also a great coach in Tampa Bay. Yes.
And also Tony Dungy's coaching tree is really exploded as well. Absolutely. So obviously I really like, I got to know Tony a little bit through the Dan Patrick Show. He's very tight with Dan. Great guy too. Love his kids. Tony Dungy's awesome. I agree. He definitely would have merited here. But I've been leaning player over coach. That's just the way I've been going. Maggie's done more coaches. You can weigh in, of course, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Coming up next, we will talk to one of the smartest voices in sports and news and get his Mount Olympus for Indianapolis. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. EJ Stewart sitting in for Maggie Gray, who is taking a personal day. It's interesting. When we were coming up with Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods of every major sports city, we basically identified one person we wanted to talk to for every city. And it was kind of easy for a lot of them. But I got to tell you, Indianapolis was the easiest one. Today is Indianapolis, 4 sports gods. And when it came up, Maggie shouted out, "Oh, we got to talk to Wertheim." And of course, that is our friend, John Wertheim, who you know from his work at Sports Illustrated, 60 Minutes, is one of the leading voices in tennis and is probably quite exhausted after what happened this weekend in France. But today it's all about Indianapolis sports. John, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Always happy to talk Indianapolis sports. This being the town that will crown the NBA champion for this season in 2 more games.
Are you so you're calling it? Are you're ready to celebrate?
I wouldn't go quite that far, but yeah, it's looking good.
All right, John. I got to get a little into tennis a little later, but we're doing our 4 sports gods for every major sports city. Maggie and I had big differences with this one. I went with Peyton Manning, Reggie Miller, Bob Knight, and Marvin Harrison Jr. was my 4th choice. EJ, what did Maggie go with?
Yeah, so John, Maggie went with Larry Bird, Reggie Miller, Peyton Manning, and a surprise pick, Caitlin Clark.
All right, so John, who did a better job?
Might be a little. We all love Caitlin Clark. Might be a little early.
Yeah.
Small sample size.
Yeah, right.
I like those though. I mean, the weird thing about Indianapolis is that it's such a sports town. But it's really sort of institutional. You know, it's the Indy 500. It's where the NCAA is headquartered. I mean, it's like sports are to Indianapolis what like film is to LA. Like it's really a company town. But the athletes are. I mean, Larry Bird is generous geography-wise. I mean, I guess he did a stint as the Pacers coach and president. Let me go off the board with one of those. You know who grew up about 20 miles from Indianapolis? John Wooden?
Yeah.
Wow. We throw that one in there?
Definitely.
What do you think?
Oh, believe me, we looked at Wooden too. And also, too, he coached at Purdue?
Yeah, he coached at Purdue, right? I believe so.
I think he started at Purdue, yeah.
But also, John, what about high school basketball in Indianapolis and in Indiana in general? I'm thinking of the movie Hoosiers. That is a big part of the identity of Indiana sports as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because it's more sort of institutions than individuals. So should we throw in Jimmy Chitwood / Bobby Plump as like an honorary?
Damon Bailey. I tried to convince people Damon Bailey might belong.
Exactly. I mean, again, are we going to Indianapolis or are we going to Indiana? That's kind of a...
All right, well...
If we go Indiana the whole state, you can get Notre Dame as well.
Trivia, Sports Illustrated trivia. Who was the first Indiana prep basketball player to make a cover?
Oh, I know, Rick Mount?
Rick Mount.
Oh.
Yeah, you should have known that off the top of your head. Yeah, a while ago, though. You and I were not there for that.
I was going to say, as old as we are, I think Rick Mount may have preceded us. I like yours. I mean, I guess Bob Knight, you can sort of wrangle in there. Reggie for sure, Peyton Manning for sure. Caitlin Clark's a good guy. No race car driver. We don't want an AJ Foyt or a Mario Andretti.
Thought about that. AJ Foyt would have been probably my name. He won 4. What about if you had to do a second Colt? Would it be EJ had a good point? Maybe Tony Dungy should have been on there instead of Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison.
Oh, that's good. What about our late friend Mr. Irsay?
I saw that too.
Kind of.
But was it him or his dad? Who was the bigger figure there?
Well, the dad is the one that sort of left Baltimore under the cover of darkness. But Jimmy's the one who kind of made it part of the city, and he got the money for the downtown stadium. And remember, when the dad owned the team, it was the coach ripping his pants and Jeff George throwing interceptions, and it was a pretty rough go of it. And then once Jimmy took over, it really became kind of beloved franchise in the community, and he was a real character. And they got to host a Super Bowl because of the arena he built downtown, because of the venue he built downtown. I think I might be inclined to go Jim Irsay over Marvin Harrison or Tony Dungy.
Hey, John, one of the people I was thinking about, because if I really wanted to make this truly about Indianapolis, which I love, you're kind of bringing that atmosphere. You're like, hey, like we're going with some people outside of Indianapolis. If you start bringing in Indiana State and Indiana, and maybe Notre Dame should be involved. If I really wanted to really harp on Indianapolis, what about a name like Brad Stevens? I mean, he took Butler to 2 straight national titles. That's a school that's in Indianapolis. They play at the legendary Hinkle Fieldhouse. Could Brad Stevens be made for a case for Mount Olympus of Indiana sports gods?
Ooh, that's a good one. Brad Stevens also worked at Eli Lilly, which is one of the biggest employers in Indianapolis.
Wow.
Didn't like the corporate world, and then went back to sports. So he kind of gets a double. I think Brad Stevens actually, trivia, in college, interned in enforcement at the NCAA, also in Indianapolis.
Wow.
So Brad Stevens gets it for more than Butler. That's a good, I like that. That's an inspired pick. I like that.
Okay, I'm going to do a media one. Do you think Pat McAfee is working his way into it? Because I know that sounds funny, but he's made Indianapolis this sort of little sports media hub.
Yeah, and I've noticed that more and more. I mean, I think for a while people were like, oh, he used to play for the Colts. Now he's showing up at Pacers games. He's doing stuff with Caitlin Clark. I think Indianapolis is becoming much more of his whole spiel, his whole gestalt. I like that pick. That's a good one too.
What would the Pacers title mean for this city? Obviously, we saw the crowd all wearing yellow getting into it last night. It felt like the home court was a big deal. How important are they to Indianapolis?
It kind of comes and goes. I mean, everyone thinks this is a basketball mad state, and it is. But, when I was growing up there, it was like Indiana 1, Purdue 2, Pacers 3. It was like there wasn't a good, you saw, hey, I've seen whatever. I saw Rain Man. Let's just go to a Pacers game. And the tickets were comparably priced, and it was really kind of like just something that existed. And then, Reggie came and the franchise got better, and they built that great arena. It would mean a ton. And I think part of it is this is, you're in the heart of basketball country. This used to be an ABA franchise. They've never won an NBA title. And for as loyal a fan base as there's been, there hasn't been a parade. And I think, sometimes the team will, we're like Toronto or Denver, and it's kind of a nice, sort of a nice year for the team, but it doesn't really change anything. In a sports mad town like Indianapolis, it would be everything, and it would spill over. It certainly spill over to to the WNBA. It would spill over to the Colts. It would be a big deal. And I think also the fact this is such a likable team adds to it as well. This is not just, hey, the Nuggets won, let's have a parade, and then football season a couple weeks away. This would be a big deal.
We're talking to John Wertheim. Of course, you know him from Sports Illustrated, 60 Minutes, several great books. And, John, you've seen a lot of majors finals. Where do you put what happened with Sinner and Alcaraz this weekend in France on the list of the all-time great matches you've seen?
It's way, way up there for all sorts of reasons. The quality of play, the drama, the fact that this was 1 versus 2. I'm a little biased for the Federer-Nadal 2008 Wimbledon final, but I would put this as 1A. I mean, this was it was the match from the first day of the tournament everybody was waiting for, and it was over-promised and over-delivered.
Do you think Sinner, when you look at the match, did Sinner blow it, or do you credit more Alcaraz just being gritty and coming back? Oh, John? John, lost you there for a second. Oh, lost John Wertheim.
Yeah.
Old friend from Sports Illustrated days. What were you going to say, EJ?
No, I was going to say, I was actually also curious as well, along with, Sinner and whether or not he lost the situation. I was curious to ask him about Sabalenka and that controversy as well. I think we have John back here.
Yeah. John, real quick, do you look at that as Sinner kind of blew it, or Alcaraz toughed it out and came back?
I think, like Yannick Sinner, I just faded away, but it was much more circumstantial. No, I think that was part of it too. I just think Alcaraz grabbed that match. Sinner probably should have served it out, but I don't think anyone's going to look back at that and say, "Oh, that was a choke job." I mean, Alcaraz and that was part of it too. And 5 hours, 5 hours and 29 minutes, and the last 20 minutes was probably the highest quality the whole time. I think this was much more about Alcaraz just not just winning this, but seizing it, than Sinner letting it slip through his fingers.
Hey, John, a lot of the controversy coming out of the women's final was Aryna Sabalenka's post-match comments where essentially she said, I lost this match because I played poorly, not because Coco Gauff played well. And that's, of course, she's had kind of walked that back, and Coco Gauff has responded. And there's been a lot of, hubbub about this situation. In some way, do you feel like Sabalenka regrets those comments there? Do you feel like this was something maybe within her character? Like, I think a lot of people really weren't familiar with who Sabalenka was off the court, so this was a little surprising. How do you feel like Sabalenka is kind of taking this now, a couple days after the whole controversy?
Yeah, I mean, by her reckoning, she's in Greece drinking tequila and eating gummy bears. So we'll have to wait a while for her to weigh in. But no, I think, she's a total loose cannon in the best possible way. There's zero filter there. And that's great for fans. That's great for us in the media. It makes it a lot of fun to cover her. The flip side of that is when you put a microphone in front of her right after she's lost this devastating match, she doesn't really stick to the usual talking points. It's a weird thing in tennis, though, isn't it? I mean, imagine, we're not talking about a press conference. We're talking about literally minutes, sometimes even seconds after you lose this devastating match and someone sticks a microphone. The baseball player strikes out at the bottom of the ninth and he's walking back to the dugout and someone asks him how he feels. I think some of it is just kind of the circumstances, but she'll be fine. I mean, I think she if you and I probably would have been a little, we may have been marked our words a little more and given a little more credit, but we love her when she's posting TikTok videos and saying outrageous things. I think she gets a little bit of grace for popping off a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how she, Wimbledon, tennis had this great week.
Sure.
And now we have Wimbledon coming up in less than 3 weeks. So we get to kind of revisit all these plots.
Yeah, John, I was going to ask state of tennis. It feels like, are we going to get a Sinner Alcaraz, that sort of Nadal Federer, Borg McEnroe kind of rivalry going? Do you think tennis is in a good place right now?
Yeah, we're kind of in the NBA after Jordan phase. And here comes our LeBron and Kobe. Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of Roger Federer, global superstar, generational player retired. Rafa Nadal retired. Djokovic, 38 years old. Serena Williams retired. What is this sport going to offer? And now we're getting some answers. And yeah, I mean, these two guys, Sinner and Alcaraz, they won every major played since 2023. I mean, one of the others won the last 6 majors. So they're sort of the new rivalry. They're nice study in contrast. Nobody says which is which. They're very different people. They're very different players. And yeah, I mean, we kind of, everybody sort of was wringing their hands wondering what tennis was going to look like after these 4 Mount Rushmore stars were going to retire. And now we're getting some answers.
John, we really appreciate the time, and I hope you get one for the Pacers. Are you going any weird trips that you could tell us about? I love when you went to the smallest state in the world. What was it called? That little place?
Oh yeah, Sealand.
Sealand, right?
Good call.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. I love all your 60 Minutes pieces, but that one I really, really enjoyed. You got any weird trips coming up?
I just got back from a very strange canton of Switzerland. But Wimbledon's next on the docket.
Oh, Wimbledon, yeah. I mean, I think we all got to go cool places with SI, but you've definitely been to places I don't think you saw coming as a kid in Bloomington, Indiana. Did you see this travel in your future at any point?
I did not, but I also did not see Caitlin Clark as one of the 4 Mount Rushmore figures of my hometown either.
Take that, Maggie.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks for the time, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, John.
See you guys. All right.
Of course, John Wertheim, a correspondent for 60 Minutes, has interviewed some pretty big names. I think this is a little bit below his pay grade to be breaking down the 4 sports gods of Indiana, but he was supportive, I think, both Maggie and I are in the right direction. He agreed with me. It's premature for Caitlin Clark, and this is not to denigrate Caitlin Clark's impact at all. But 1 year in, and EJ's like, well, would we have put LeBron in 1 year? No, of course we not have. It's 1 year.
And that's why I'm really curious to hear what fans think. And call in 888-710-4ISN because Maggie can't defend herself. So here I am, playing the Johnny Cochran role, trying to defend this. And I'm very curious if the case is perhaps looking into the future in the idea that we know what Caitlin Clark is as just a lightning rod of attention and really in some ways you could say a pioneer for women's basketball. Like she's probably going to be on that list, so maybe that's why Maggie put her on there. I'm curious if other people feel like she deserves a spot.
Let's go to a caller, Adam in Indiana. Adam, what do you think of Caitlin Clark being one of the 4 sports gods of Indy?
Yeah, I've got her on my list as well. She's, transcending the sport of the WNBA, right? Like, she just has taken a league that was really good and has made it great. Like, viewership is up, attendance is up, business for the league is up, and just.
But that's national. What does that have to do with Indianapolis? Some of those things, just business for the league is up.
She's playing in Indy. She's playing in Indy now. If she was playing in Chicago or elsewhere, obviously no, but that's our rivals. But but no, I do agree with Maggie. She's had a huge impact on women's basketball in general. So yeah, I would agree with Maggie. But also, I'd put one of the 4 4-time winners of the Indy 500 in there. They may not be from Indianapolis, but the event happens there.
Yep.
Also, Reggie Miller, Peyton Manning, but don't leave off Oscar Robertson as well.
Yep. At the game last night.
Yep. Played at Christmas Attucks there in Indianapolis, and I love how earlier you mentioned, Indiana high school basketball because it is like our couple callers ago. I mean, it is huge here. Like the state championship fills up the Pacer Stadium for high school kids. It is. I mean, I'm driving right now for work, and I can see a basketball hoop. I'm passing another house, a basketball hoop. I mean, it is huge here. But I did want to mention one other high school player, and I know his NBA career was an absolute bust. But if you look at Greg Oden's high school career, he's one of the best high school basketball players of all time. Played at Lawrence North and Indy.
Absolutely.
And if you watch his highlights, stats, I mean, he was absolutely unstoppable in high school. He's a few years older than me. So I remember watching him at 3 state championships in a row. I mean, in high school basketball, he was one of the elite right there in Indianapolis. So thanks for the call, guys.
Thank you for the call. Yeah.
I thought about Greg Oden so much. When you were talking about the high school athletes, I kept thinking.
Wow, Greg Oden, I mean, it would have been big dog Glenn Robinson if you're doing the best player to come out. I mean, Glenn Robinson, because he went in and dominated Purdue, too, I think.
I know, but Greg Oden was all world. I mean, he's in a class with Kevin Durant. He's number 1. That shows you just how dominant he was. And the reason why I was curious about where Greg Oden fit was because for some reason, I don't know if it's because he was a big man or if it was because it was later, it's kind of more recency bias. I don't really associate him with like the rich tradition of Indianapolis basketball, or Indiana high school basketball. If that makes sense.
I don't think he's top 5 Indiana high school basketball players. And I
disagree with that.
I mean, obviously,
I vehemently disagree with that.
Yeah.
Like you said, 3 state champions, was number 1 high school player pretty much since he was a sophomore. He was him. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to me, it's Damon Bailey, Glenn Robinson, Sean Kemp, Oscar Robertson. Those 4 off the top of my head. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because Greg Oden failed later on, but you can't. When I was a kid, Damon Bailey was like the first. He was the first transcendent high school. He's the only high school player like you really knew, except for the New York City guys. So anyway, we got to move on to headlines. But again, give us a call at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Does Caitlin Clark belong on the Mount Olympus of Indiana sports gods? Oh, boy. Give us a call, Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Mount Olympus of Indianapolis sports. I feel like Maggie's choice of Caitlin Clark is getting all the attention as it should, and we want to hear from you. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. See you on the phone lines. We have to do some headlines first, and I think we're going to hear about some more Indianapolis basketball stars, but not the WNBA variety. Andrew Bogus?
Just as EJ predicted, guys, in the solitude of his apartment yesterday, the Pacers took a 2-1 lead on the Thunder last night and are now halfway to snapping a drought that Maggie created to satisfy her narrative. Indy started the fourth in a 5-point hole, but quickly flipped game 3.
McConnell dances, spins, fumbles, picks it up, and can't finish in front. Rebound to the grateful Nembhard over on the left wing. It was tipped in his direction. He grabbed it and laid it in. And then McConnell steals, and the Pacers get 4 quick points in a matter of seconds. The game is tied with 8.5 to go.
That's Mark Boyle on Pacers Radio. Indy would eventually take the lead for good, winning 116-107 on their home floor. They have yet to lose back-to-back games this postseason, and they remain unbeaten when scoring at least 110. Head coach Rick Carlisle.
I was proud of the way we bounced back from a rough ending to the third quarter. You know, that was something that could have shaken us up a lot. But the guys that went back in there to start the fourth they kept their head down and kept competing.
And again, they somewhat have this somewhat surprising 2-1 series lead. In that fourth quarter, Benedict Mathurin scored 10 of his 27, while the defense held OKC to just 18 points, 6 of 17 shooting. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just 3 points in that fourth quarter, 24 for the game. This is the only time in this series with 1 day between games, so these two back on the floor in Indy tomorrow night. Let's check on the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Round 1's a couple of hours old. Rory McIlroy is 2 under through his first 4 holes, joining J.J. Spawn atop the leaderboard. Bryson DeChambeau is 1 over through 3 so far this morning.
Rory's about to break another slump.
Oh, gosh.
A couple weeks.
Speaking of that, if you're wondering where Maggie is today, she's in Buffalo working on Joey Bosa's calf. The veteran pass rusher is out right now, but said yesterday he expects to be full go at training camp because of Maggie. And Paige Becker scored 35, but her Wings lose in Phoenix 93-80. Can I ask
By the way, that is Paige Becker's that good?
Well, I'm not doing this on another player today.
No, I'm just saying.
Is TJ McConnell good? Is Benedict Mathurin good? Is Paige Becker's good?
That is his favorite question. He always comes and says, "Is this person good?"
I couldn't believe how many were in the first half. That was crazy. I was watching the ticker. Paige Becker's just lighting it up. 35 points. That's pretty good.
And she's just back from a concussion too.
Yeah, no, I know she's good. I didn't know she could score like that at this level this quickly.
Yeah, she was drafted number 1.
Very quickly, I need guidance before we do the Mount Olympus of San Diego tomorrow, because it feels like the geographical rules here are fast and loose. So can I go as far north as Los Angeles and as far south as Tijuana? How does this work for San Diego?
Well, there is certain Indiana and Wisconsin. I think that you brought in the whole state.
Well, so did Portland. Portland was the gatekeeper here.
Yeah, but Eugene's right next to Portland. It's not that far.
Yeah, but again, the hashtag Gary Payton. And even Maggie started saying the Mount Olympus of Oregon because she was so far outside of Portland.
Well, it's funny. Gary Payton, of course, if he was from Oregon, I would have liked that, but he's very, very tied to his home community of Oakland, extremely tied. So that one was even weirder. And she's like, he made the tournament 3 out of 4 years. What?
Look, my thing is, if the city claims you, then you should be good. That to me is very simple.
But does Portland claim Gary Payton?
They hated Gary Payton.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
hated him.
No, there are a lot of Portland people who claim Oregon State. That's what she was doing. Now,
right, it's fine. But
I would argue that he shouldn't be on there simply because his Oregon State status wasn't good enough.
He played for the Seattle Supersonics. It was the main rival of the Portland Trailblazers.
She's not worried
for
about that.
15
She's
years.
talking about his college play.
Oh my God!
He played at Corvallis, which is close.
I understand the technicality of it, but you think that when he was at Corvallis, like he was a sports god in the city of Portland who has an NBA team? Do you think everyone's like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to see what Gary Payton does today"? No. Oh my gosh, whatever. I won that poll.
You won that poll. Yeah, I'm saying you should let her continue to let her lose. I don't know why you're complaining about it.
Well, you're sitting here defending it. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Let the people decide.
All right, we want to hear your take on Indianapolis. Caitlin Clark belong on the Mount Olympus. See you on the phone lines. More Indy sports next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back. Maggie and Perloff Show. EJ Stewart sitting in for Maggie, who is out today. Now, EJ and I have been arguing about what happened with the Pacers Thunder last night in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Pacers win the game, or up 2-1. I see it as the Oklahoma City Thunder, the best team in the NBA, blew it. They basically got punched in the face in the second quarter by the Pacers bench and panicked. They shrunk SGA, Mr. MVP, Mr. NBA leading scorer, Mr. Kobe Bryant comparisons, had 6 turnovers, and looked defeated in the fourth quarter. They mic'd him up. He was trying to rally his team, but I did not think SGA showed that Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality, the kind of comparisons he's getting. He didn't look like an MVP last night. He looked exhausted. Credit the Pacers for that. But to me, I think the Thunder are going to watch the game tape and say, what happened to us last night?
Yeah, I think they're going to see a MVP that was not aggressive, that really was passive and allowed really his supporting cast to try to win them the game, which is just not going to work. You're not going to win these games late in the game with the Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren show. Like, those guys are really good players. Jalen Williams is an all-star. Chet Holmgren is a future all-star. But at the end of the day, if they're going to win a title, it's going to be because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So he's going to have to be more aggressive. I think the Pacers are doing a good job of attacking him on defense. He's a good defensive player, but he's making him work. He's making him work on that end. So when you have to play defense and then be the hub offensively, it's wearing them down a bit. And surprise, surprise, this is what the Pacers have been doing to everybody, right? They did this to Donovan Mitchell. They did this to Jalen Brunson. Now you see him do it to SGA. This is where you got to see the MVP step up. I think that he is an absolute superstar. He's one of the premier players in the NBA. I expect him to respond, but I think the Pacers deserve a lot of credit for doing what a lot of people say they could not do, which is make this a series. It is absolutely a series now.
Well, I think the Thunder, when they look at this, I know you're putting a lot on SGA. Like, they need other guys to really step up more consistently, because last night you saw the Pacers actually would leave Alex Caruso, for example, who played a lot of minutes, would just leave him and let him be and focus on SGA, which mysteriously they were not doing in games 1 and 2. They were not trapping Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at all. And I was screaming at my TV. I'm like, get a guy over there. So they did a little last night and said, all right, SGA, you're going to get double teamed. Somebody else beat us. And the Thunder role players, again, on the road, so not a huge surprise, but the Thunder role players like Alex Caruso, like Isaiah Hartenstein, like Kason Wallace, all came up small in a surprising way to me. And it was the loose balls. Like, when did the Thunder not get the loose balls? When are they the sloppy team? They make other teams look sloppy. They're the best defensive team in the league. That's their calling card. Not the Pacers defense. It's the Thunder defense. It's what we always talk about. And it just was not there last night. And the energy, when it was gone, their defense didn't even scare Indiana. Indiana, Benedict Mathurin in particular, off the bench, looked completely comfortable against what was supposed to be the swarming Thunder defense. Just didn't show up in Game 3.
Yeah, but if you look at what the Thunder have done in each series, they've always had at least one game like this. Like, people talk about that Memphis series, how much of a blowout it was. People forget that in the closeout game, they were down 30 points. Flat out did not show up in a team against team that did not have Ja Morant. And it wasn't until the second half when they made a run. Then it was against Denver. They had the similar performance in Game 3 where Denver just did what they wanted and they won Game 3. Similar performance against the T-Wolves in Game 3 where they got blown off the court. This is a team that's going to have these moments. Like, I don't think they're not going to go faux. These other teams are competitive, so they're going to have these moments. They're going to have lapses, and the Pacers are the exact kind of team that will take advantage of those lapses. You just cannot let up against this team because they're relentless. Doesn't matter if they're down. Doesn't matter if it looks like they have no shot. They're going to still play their style. They're going to play their way, and the Thunder got burned last night.
Yeah, I think that they need to go to their bench. Actually, pull up that Charles Barkley sound, because I was thinking the same thing. You should have played Isaiah Joe more last night. You should have played Andrew Wiggins more. No, I know Wiggins looked shaky, which is funny because he was really, really good in Game 2. But it seemed like Thunder coach Mark Daigneault got away from what makes the Thunder special and tightened his rotation at exactly the wrong time. Here's Charles.
It was a 2-point game.
No, I know.
Going into the fourth quarter.
Well, it shouldn't have been, because Oklahoma City has been the best team in the NBA all year. What they should have, they are the best team. If you're the best, you don't change anything. We can say, well, you're barely winning or you're barely losing. Grant just hit the point. There's got to be a psychological, I think it's affected their bench. I truly do.
It's confidence. You saw that it went away for the bench, and that's what made the big difference in the game last night. The Indiana bench just blew them out of the water at the beginning of the second quarter, and then the fourth quarter, it wasn't even a fair fight. OKC, you could see the energy just sap out of them. They gave up. I'm sorry. I don't want to call them. They gave up in the fourth quarter at the end. They had no run in them in the last 3 or 4 minutes. It didn't seem like they had their legs underneath them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I say they gave up. I think they got beat. I think that they were outmatched, and they didn't really have an answer for what the Pacers were throwing at them defensively. They were turning the ball over. They weren't getting good shots. I didn't think this was a laydown job. I just think that they realized, oh snap, this is not a team that's going to let up at any point. Like, we are in this game. I think they thought when Jalen Green hit that step back three, she keeps saying they were down 2. I believe that's Candace Parker. I think they were up 5. Jalen.
No, he's talking in the. Oh, right.
The fourth quarter. Jalen Williams probably forgot because he had that 3 that put them up, and we heard Rick Carlisle early in the show say that, I was a little worried because they really went on a run at the end of the quarter, and he was right. The Pacers looked like they were getting wobbly at the end of the quarter, and I think they thought they won the game. I think they thought, okay, we took the Pacers' best shot. This is the best 3 quarters they've played, and we're still up 5.
Yeah.
And Jalen Williams is like, nah, he's getting hot. And it was like once the fourth quarter started, and again, it became the Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell show, they were like, wait a minute, we're in a game still? Like, how is this even a game? And that's when you start to get tight. That's when the Pacers started playing with more energy, and that's how they were able to close out the Thunder last night.
2 plays jumped out to me. Obi Toppin had a follow-up dunk where Caruso and a bunch of other guys were just watching him.
Yeah,
it felt like it gave up. And then when SGA got basically pressured to the foul line and took 4 steps. I mean, even in the NBA, that was an obvious walk call. SGA, 6 turnovers, lazy turnovers. One was a cross-court pass that 4 Pacers could have jumped on. It was just, I felt like he was discouraged. Mentally, he was not all there in the
You talk about those plays. How about SGA closing out on Haliburton, doesn't box him out. Haliburton runs from the corner all the way to the other wing to get a rebound. How about, Caruso throwing the ball right to TJ McConnell under the basket for a layup that tied the game? I mean, these are momentum-shifting plays, and I think, again, you play in the regular season or you play against other teams, you think, okay, I can close out and I don't box them, that's fine, or I can just throw this inbound pass and they're not going to be pressing. The Pacers just don't stop, and they're a frustrating, annoying team to play. Yeah. I think the Thunder, this is going to show them maturity. I think if they lose this series, this is going to be about immaturity from the coach and immaturity from their stars.
Yeah.
Because they are the better team, and they should win this series. But the Pacers, you have to play fundamental basketball. You're not going to be able to take shortcuts playing this team. It's just not possible.
You mean when you inbound the ball after a made basket, you don't actually throw it directly into the chest of the other team who's standing right in front?
Jumped for that pass, so it wasn't in his chest.
Yeah, because he's 5'10".
Right,
okay.
But again, that's laziness.
No, I mean, that was a horrible pass. Like, I can't make excuses for this. All right, let's do the Indianapolis sports gods, the Mount Olympus of Indianapolis sports. By the way, Indianapolis high school basketball, huge deal. I mentioned it. We interviewed John Wertheim, Sports Illustrated 60 Minutes, earlier in the show. First ever high school athlete they put on the cover, 1966, Rick Mount, who was a Indiana schoolboy legend from Lebanon, Indiana. Some other players, I'm looking at this. This is one of my favorite topics. High school people they put in. Kansas schoolboy marvel Mike Peterson, who never did anything in the late 60s. BYU football player, Utah football player, Bruce Hardy. Never even heard of him in 1974. They put Bobby Carpenter, the can't-miss kid, name the sport. Not the football player.
Not the football player?
No, he said NHL player from Peabody, Mass. Don't know him.
I was about to say hockey if you're...
Listen to this one. They had, in 1986, Sports Illustrated had a cover, the new Mary Lou Retton, gymnastics sensation Christy Phillips. Huh.
So what you're telling me is that you probably don't want to be in the Sports Illustrated cover coming out of high school.
No, but then it gets
you're LeBron.
John Peters, a high school pitching phenom in 1989, never really made it. But then it gets a little better. A guy named Kevin Garnett. Ready or not, here comes Kevin Garnett. He did pretty good. The chosen one, you guys know who that is. LeBron James. Sebastian Telfair, Coney Island, Brooklyn, legend. Did not quite live up to the hype. The second chosen one, Bryce Harper, that one did live up to the hype. Jabari Parker, it's a shame because Jabari Parker was going to be so good.
He's killing it in Barcelona, though.
Shout out to him.
And then a couple more. Hunter Green, the pitcher.
For the Reds.
Now doing some things. And the one that really kills me, if you're in Detroit, you know this person. Amani Bates in 9th grade was Gatorade Player of the Year
Well,
And
there are Cavs
now-
fans who feel like he should be playing, by the way.
I know. So he was a disappointing college player. Then I was watching like a summer league game, and Amani Bates was dropping dimes on, or it's dropping threes on everyone. He's an interesting guy, but he was a high school phenom.
Yeah, he ended up going to Eastern Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He averaged like 30 points, shooting like 30%.
I almost put Damon Bailey, Indiana schoolboy superstar, on my list. And then I saw Glenn Robinson, because he went on to Purdue, made a lot of other people's Mount Rushmores of Indianapolis sports. But we want to hear from you. I had Peyton Manning, Reggie Miller, Bob Knight, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Maggie went with Peyton Manning, Reggie Miller, Caitlin Clark. I don't even remember who was on after that. And Larry Bird. What do you think? Give us a call, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Shakira in New Jersey. Shakira, what do you think of having Caitlin Clark on the Mount Olympus of Indiana sports?
Sorry, my baby's crying, so I'll be quick.
Hey, Benny.
Oh, all right. So this is a friend of EJ.
Yes. So I'll be quick. So I had Peyton, Tony, Reggie, and Larry. I think it's a bit early for Caitlin, because it's early in her career. She could get traded. We don't know. I might have put Andrew Luck 10 years ago. So I think it's too early to say.
Yes. Thank you. That's a great point, Shakira. We would put Andrew Luck.
Oh, Benny is so distraught.
Yeah, Shakira, Benny wants Caitlin Clark on there.
I think so.
All right. Well, thanks for the call.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Shakira.
That's interesting. Let's go to Sean in Oregon. Sean, what do you think of Maggie putting Caitlin Clark on her 4 sports guides of Indianapolis?
Well, I go back to, if you got to ask yourself that question, it's probably a no. And then I'm going to go back to saying there's no way that Gary Payton's going to be on there. It's Terry Baker from Oregon State.
Okay.
Terry Baker is the only guy that you'll ever see that went to a Final Four and won the Heisman Trophy. He was number 1 draft pick. He's a legend in Oregon. Like when I go to these autograph signings, never seen Gary Payton. That's how I see it.
Yeah, because you're not in Oakland or Seattle. Yeah, of course.
I'm telling you, won back-to-back state championships in Portland, and then went to Oregon State. He played point guard, went to a Final Four, and was a Heisman Trophy winner the very same year. That'll never happen to anybody else ever again, brother. Have a great day.
Thanks, Sean. Let's go to Dominic in San Francisco. All right. So you've gone old school with a lot of your Mount Olympus choices. Who do you got for Indianapolis?
Okay, it's hard. I tried to get the criteria when you guys started doing this, and it seemed like, with all due respect, it seems like that it's changed. It's a region, it's a city, it's a state, it's a planet. I'm gonna try to play nice.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Peyton Manning.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Marvin Harrison.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Larry Bird. And I'm going to say, without a doubt, A.J. Foyt.
But then there's no Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
So what?
Wow.
Didn't win a title.
So what?
Didn't win a title.
Yes. No, really. So what? And na. Reggie Miller.
Larry Bird never won a title in Indiana?
Larry Bird is a sports god.
But he didn't win either.
When you watch highlights, NBA highlights, you're going to have more NBA highlights of Magic and Larry going at it.
But guess what, Dominic? There's one thing, though. You will not see highlights of Larry Bird wearing a Indiana Pacers uniform. So you can't go to the NBA. But you're saying that. Because you're saying Larry Bird.
So we're going to sit around and watch Reggie Miller stare at Spike Lee.
Don't forget the choke sign.
Listen, you preach to the choir. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm just saying, if you're going to put Larry Bird on there, you can't do the NBA career.
Reggie Miller.
Right.
It's laughable.
Well, okay. Thank you, Dominic. I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, he hates Reggie Miller more than me.
He made some salient points, I think.
Is he, Dominic's from San Francisco. I think he's actually Dominic from Brooklyn. That's what it sounded like to me.
Reggie Miller, of course, I have a long history with Reggie Miller. Was part of the Dan Patrick Show at all.
Oh, cool.
He once tackled me. It was quite controversial.
Why did he want to tackle you?
But I ran into Reggie recently in New York. Reggie's he is sitting there wearing that Indiana Pacers jersey on the sideline, and he's a big part of Indiana, but he's also very California.
Very LA.
Yeah, I mean, went to UCLA. Obviously, his sister is a sports god in LA. So I can make some arguments against Reggie, but I had him on my list. I think he belongs on there. Again, we want to hear from you. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Coming up, we're going to talk to I would say a new controversial voice in the NBA pundit world. I've been looking at some of the stuff this guy, former NBA player, has been saying, and some of it's different. And I think he might be onto something. That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Today's Mount Olympus, 4 sports gods from every major sports city, is Indianapolis. So early poll results, Maggie put Caitlin Clark on hers and is winning, but I think she's winning because she has Larry Bird on hers, and I do not. So I think my problem on this one is Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison, great NFL football player. This dude never just got anyone excited. No one's excited about a Marvin Harrison highlight reel. I think that's my problem. I think this guy is underrated, EJ.
Yeah, I think he gets forgotten when we talk about the all-time great receivers because he truly is on that list. No
because
question.
he never spoke. He never said anything. His son is actually much more excited. You guys seen pictures?
I mean,
of
his post-career was more
shot a guy.
exciting. Yeah, exciting is one way to put it than his actual playing career. But I don't have a problem with Marvin Harrison pick. He's one of the greatest receivers of all time, and he's absolutely one of the reasons why the Colts were great. I just think that I would have went with, if I was going on second Colt, I would have did Tony Dungy. Because to me, Wayne and Harrison could kind of cancel each other out. There is no other Indianapolis head coach that would cancel out Tony Dungy.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Have you guys seen Marvin Harrison Jr. photos this offseason, by the way?
No.
Dude put on some muscle.
Oh,
and he was not small before.
He's working out with Manny biceps?
He looks like a gladiator. I remember coming to the draft, Perloff take probably gone wrong. I said, this is the greatest wide receiver prospect, at least physically, to come in the league since Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
I mean, he's got all the tools, except that now there's an Ohio State wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith, who looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. on the cover of EA Sports. Like, he looks like he's a 27-year-old 4-time Pro Bowler playing college football at the age of 19.
Should have been
to me, he's the number one must-watch player next season. I cannot wait. I hope he wins the Heisman. He is everything.
I hope someone can throw him the football.
How hard is it to listen?
I know we say
Will
that,
Howard did that. I think it's easy. It gets Notre Dame at the end of the title game. That was not a great pass. It was just It was Jeremiah Smith is just that good.
I know, but Will Howard at least was an accomplished quarterback. Like, they have a completely
He's number one recruit in the land.
Right, but these guys are unproven. How many number one recruits in the land? You're talking about Smith. Yeah, he's great. I'm talking about the quarterback.
No,
yeah,
I mean Julian saying. I'm saying,
right. How many number one overall prospects have we had recently that have flopped? Like, there have been so many 5-star quarterbacks that have not lived up to the hype.
Well, I mean, who are the number ones that are out there? Kate Klubnik has played well at the end of last year.
Yeah, Connor Wegman has not lived up to the hype.
Connor Wegman, that one is not good. Nico has not really lived up to the hype.
Look at the 5 stars in the last 5 years, and you'll see a lot of busts.
Yeah, but number one, like Julian saying, was a little bit bigger. I think that there's reason to be excited about him. He could be a bust, you're right. By the way, I don't think he's really won the job yet. But
right, we don't even know if he won the job.
Yeah.
So, like, he can't beat whoever he's going up against. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be terrible. I just think it's a question mark.
I got to tell you, I think that Andrew Bogish or me could throw to Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Brandon Innes. I mean, that is, I'm dead serious. It's just like, take 5 steps and throw it up in the air.
I'm 5'9". I can't see him.
I was going to say, but can you stand up to a Michigan pass rush?
You look exactly like Quinn Ewers.
I look, maybe facially, I look like Quinn Ewers. That is where the physical.
Maybe. Like a miniature dad version.
Yeah,
of Quinn
no.
Ewers.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm 6'4". I could throw to these guys. A little skinny. I'm more of a Nico eye type, but I think I could get the ball. Carnell Tate's awesome too. He's probably a 1st-round pick, and Brandon Innes was actually a bigger recruit than all those guys except for Jeremiah Smith. So I think Ohio State is interesting. I don't even know how he got on there because of Marvin Harrison Jr. It's funny.
Marvin Harrison's on the Mount Olympus. That's why.
If you want to have fun, look at an old Ohio State depth chart of wide receiver when Jameson Williams was like 6'5", former Ohio State then Alabama player. Okay, Andrew Bogus. We're getting way sidetracked as EJ and I tend to do when we're on the show together and Maggie's out. Give us some headlines.
Neither the Pacers nor the Thunder have lost back-to-back games this postseason, so I guess that means we will alternate our way to Indy in 7. The Pacers back in front this morning, 2-1, by outscoring the Thunder by 14 in the fourth to take Game 3, 116-107. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could not stop that rally, scoring just 3 points in the final 12 minutes. Only 24 total after 30-plus in each of the first 2 games.
I feel like I had some good looks in it that I missed that I usually make. There's moments where I could have been a little bit more aggressive, I would say. But yeah, I'll watch film, clean everything up, and try to be better for this basketball team come next game.
Tyrese Haliburton had the better evening, 21 points and 11 assists. Plus, the Pacers got 27 points off the bench from Benedict Mathurin, 10 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals from TJ McConnell. Rick Carlisle proud of those subs.
This is the kind of team that we are. We need everybody to be ready. It's not always going to be exactly the same guys that are stepping up with scoring and stuff like that, but this is how we got to do it. And we got to do it as a team, and we got to make it as hard as possible on them.
A pivotal Game 4 is tomorrow night in Indy. The Thunder, don't forget, we're down 2-1 in the Western Conference Final and won Game 4 in Denver. Oakmont, easy-ish in the early hours of Round 1 of the U.S. Open. J.J. Spawn is 4 under through 8. He's got the lead by 2 shots over a group that includes Rory McIlroy, 2 under through 5 for him. Bryson DeChambeau is even through his first 6 holes this morning.
What happened to Rory struggling, shooting 81 in a practice round, having trouble with new drivers? I know. But with Rory, you kind of know early sometimes, right? That he doesn't have it.
I guess, yeah.
Well, as EJ or Randy said, drought buster coming in.
There you go.
Does everybody remember when Juan Soto missed being a Yankee?
Still does, buddy. Still does.
Hit high in the air. Deep right field. Call going back to the track. He's at the wall, and it's gone. Juan Soto does it again. He goes deep to right field into the Mets bullpen. 3-0 New York in the bottom of the third.
That's Keith Radd on Mets Radio. Soto, a 2-run homer, fueling the Mets' 5-0 win over the Nationals. A complete game shutout from David Peterson, the first by a Mets lefty in 6 years. Ooh. New York is now 20 games over 500 at 44-24.
Who was that? Steven Matz, maybe?
Aaron Judge homered in the Yankees 6-3 win in KC. The White Sox are 7-27 on the road after a 10-2 beating in Houston, and the Red Sox topped the Rays 4-3 on 4 solo homers, 2 of them from rookie Marcelo Mayer. The Minnesota Lynx lose for the first time this season in game number 10, 94-84 in Seattle. And the Aces lost to the Sparks 97-89, playing the last 11 minutes without Asia Wilson after an accidental elbow to the face. Guys, back to you.
All right, EJ, we are waiting on Rashad McCants, former North Carolina star, former NBA player, part of Gil's Arena, an awesome podcast, is creating a lot of NBA takes. You mentioned you had a floater. Bogues, you gotta stick around for this one. We, a few months ago, was it a few months or was it almost a year ago? We were obsessed with this guy who had this obscene morning ritual.
Yeah, it was a month ago. It was
only a month ago?
Yeah, it was a month
1
ago.
month, 12 months, it all blends together.
I can't remember what he did, but
it was yesterday.
Yeah. So what possible follow-up is to there's this guy who took hours to get ready in the morning on Instagram?
So this guy is like the Shohei, the Ipe for Maggie, or like I'm obsessed with this guy. So Ashton Hall, who did this crazy morning ritual that included working out, wiping his face with a banana peel, and a weird water routine. So he's been continuing to post videos. A lot of them we've seen of him sprinting in parking lots. And he got into a online war of words with the likes of I Show Speed. And if you have young kids, you may know who that is. He's a very, very famous streamer. And one of the things about I Show Speed is that he is fast. He's a great athlete. And they've been going back and forth about who is faster.
Is he like the Freeze, the guy who runs in the outfield?
They probably have a good race, honestly. So they had this race to see who was faster. And Ashton Hall, who's been posting video after video of him running with dogs, running with DJ Khaled, just running on asphalt.
Oh, he's the guy with DJ Khaled?
Yeah, that's
where DJ Khaled's jiggling all over the place?
Yeah, that's Ashton Hall. That's the same guy. Exactly. That same viral video. You would think, okay, this guy must be really fast. He posted his video running a 40-yard dash, a 4.3 at the Jacksonville Jaguars practice facility. He goes up against his streamer, iShowSpeed, gets smoked 4 straight races.
Okay.
Absolutely smoked. And at this point, I think the whole bit is done. I don't think you can do it anymore.
You can't.
I think he has to. And iShowSpeed was like, you need to delete your Instagram. You're done, bro. I kind of agree with him. I don't think you can be wiping your faces with banana peels anymore when you can't even beat a streamer.
Wait. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I lost part of this narrative. How did he go from having a fastidious morning routine to being super fast? Because the stuff he was doing was more about his complexion.
No, but remember, he also was doing push-ups, and then he had
was
that.
also fast.
He's
back
also
then.
like running. He's running on the treadmill. Like all this stuff is just he's this fitness guru, and then he goes up against a streamer, and then he gets absolutely destroyed. I'm sorry, like it was bad enough he ran for 1.2 yards per carry at Alcorn State. Now you're getting beat by streamers and races. You're done, bro. Ashton Hall, you got to get off the internet.
All right, well, keep us posted on that one.
I will.
All right,
and Maggie will have your next ePay update next week.
All right, well, we clearly need some help here, and this is the man to do it. Rashad McCants, star at North Carolina, NBA player, author, and he's been fantastic on Gil's Arena, the podcast, generating, I would say, a large chunk of the NBA takes that are floating around now are coming from that podcast. Rashad, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm honored to be a part of what you guys invited me to here, man. You guys are blowing up.
All right, so help us out. I came in this morning and I said the Thunder lost that game, and EJ said that's what the Pacers do. The Pacers applied the pressure and they won the game. How did you view last night's game 3?
Man, that's a perfect assessment, and that's what I've been preaching to a lot of the people who believe otherwise, is OKC didn't see none of that pressure all postseason. You look at a lot of their turnovers that McConnell was able to sniff out was just due to pressure. Nembhard's pressure on SGA was monumental. I think making the other guys step up, like Jalen Williams, he's nervous. You could tell at the free throw line he don't want to take shots, and he's cold, and he's trying to figure it all out. So I think it's a perfect matchup for Rick Carlisle going up against an unexperienced group that he knows he can muck stuff up with them. He can experiment with this lineup, that lineup. I don't think OKC has that bandwidth.
Hey, Rashad, one of the differences I saw in the game last night was the aggression from Tyrese Haliburton. And what we were talking about earlier in the show was sometimes that aggression doesn't always necessarily mean shooting, but simply just forcing the issue and making OKC defend him. He saw all the assists. He had 22 points. Is it as simple as him just turning it on and being more aggressive? Or why don't we see this Tyrese Haliburton every night when it comes to this NBA Finals or throughout these NBA playoffs, quite frankly?
Well, because the game from an analytical lens is not the same every game. So Tyrese Haliburton is a smart player, and if you're a smart, intelligent player, you have to slow the game down to see how they're strategizing against you, what this team is, how to get your other guys involved if they're trying to stop you specifically. I think he did a great job of realizing in game 1 what was not happening. And then game 2, they were able to squeak it out. But game 1, 2, and then this one recently, Haliburton touching the paint every single time, not to score, but to collapse the paint with shooters around him. That's the perfect basketball player you want on your team, because now he knows his mission. He knows what he needs to do. And he got back and rebounded too. I like that.
Talking to Rashad McCants, former NBA player, now killing it in the podcast game. What does Oklahoma City have to do in game 4?
Oh, man, it's tough. If everyone's watching the game, SGA is really, really struggling to get fouls. Mm-hmm. And when you're struggling to get fouls, you've been getting fouls all year. A big part of my cheering mechanism last night was we're not calling none of that. You're not getting that call. And now what that becomes is a turnover. And if you're going to get unforced turnovers by isolation plays, you have to change your whole strategy. I think Chet Holmgren needs to get involved a little bit more, but I think they don't have an X factor outside of Jalen Williams.
Staying on SGA there's a lot of expectations for this Thunder team. They were massive favorites. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, is the MVP, and now they are in an absolute fist fight in the NBA Finals. If they were to lose this series to the Pacers, would this be a major knock on SGA in terms of us talking about him maybe being the new face of the NBA or the next big superstar? Or do you feel like this is just the growing pains of a player trying to grow into that role?
I think back in the day we would have called it a growing pain because the media wasn't so tremendous. I think now you don't have time to call it a growing pain. I think Edwards has it kind of messed up. He thinks that he can say, I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 more years. And the window is not that big for a lot of guys because you got things that can surface, injuries, a lot of things can happen. So I don't like the way that these guys are playing like tomorrow's promised. And I think that everybody should play like tomorrow can end at any time and you leave it all on the court every night with nothing promised. So SGA and those guys are young and he does have time to submit something, but I think now is the time. It's never to wait till tomorrow.
Rashad, Kendrick Perkins on ESPN and other people compared SGA coming into the finals to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And there's some numbers like 32 points a game, MVP, leading scorer. Very few people have done that. But it struck me and a lot of people, it's like, whoa, you are anointing this guy way too soon. And it's almost, to me, it was denigrating Kobe and MJ a little bit. When you hear that kind of comparison to the all-time greats, what do you think?
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It's just about the narrative of influencing other opinions to go your way. And I think when you compare a guy to Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, and they don't follow the legacy, they don't push the mentality. We're not pushing talent. We're not pushing what you see on the court. We're pushing, this is like a university. These guys are universities of knowledge of basketball, right? They've been through the fire, they've battle tested. And SGA, man, he's new. You know, I get comparing moves to guys. It's like, yeah, he studied Kobe. Of course he's going to do that move. Jason Tatum does that move. Devin Booker does that move. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, everybody that worked with Kobe, you know, they do what he does. And SJ's never met Kobe, so that's a good thing for him to feel that comparison. It drives you, but it also sets you up for a big expectation, for a big disappointment. As you see, Ant Edwards got Michael Jordan comparisons because he looks like his kid. And if he doesn't win 6 out of 6 in the finals, it's like you're just like Marcus Jordan. You're not the real kid.
I have a question talking about one of the players in the NBA this offseason who's going to have a lot of conversations this year is going to be Kevin Durant, who's potentially going to be on the move. Shams Charania is saying that he could be traded around the draft. This is a 37-year-old player still putting up massive numbers, but on teams that have struggled. Do you feel like Kevin Durant would be a player that could put a team over the top? And if so, who do you feel like would be a great fit for KD?
Well, right now, KD's eyeing San Antonio.
Yeah, you feel you know that for sure?
He's eyeing it. And yeah, I feel like before the season ended, after the Knicks lost, I was pivoting towards San Antonio because Victor's my favorite player. So that would make sense with him, De'Aaron Fox, and Kevin Durant. I mean, just him being a journeyman looking for another team, I think the only place for him to go is back to the Golden State. Like, that's the legacy play is, hey, don't try to win somewhere else. Go back and win where you were winning. Just go show the people it didn't work. This is the only place I can win.
What do you think about New York for KD, the Knicks?
Nah. I would rather Giannis than KD. They have a guy that is going to demand a lot. Brunson, whether it's dribbling the ball or taking the last shot, and you don't want the Draymond KD situation where Brunson is like, yo, pass me the ball and all that. Even though I don't think Brunson is like that, I think KD. It's just tough, man. It doesn't look good. It doesn't like trying to find a team that fits when you are the team. The team should fit around you, and it's not a good look. But I hope the best for him for sure, because he's one of the greatest players that ever played a game. He should be considered top tier. But winning another championship for his legacy, for the fans, not for him, for his fans, is very important.
All right, we're talking Rashad McCants, of course, from Gil's Arena podcast, NBA player, star at North Carolina. EJ and I stayed on the phone for an hour last night arguing about who has a bag and who does not have a bag off this controversy. Yep. And you have to help us define bag. And I said this, I'm like, you can't be 7 feet tall and have a bag because you're 7 feet tall and that's why you score. EJ came back at me. How do you define bag, which has become a big thing because of this idea that LeBron might not have a bag?
Well, a bag is considered footwork, counter moves, precise go-to moves that, pretty much can't be countered. And you can tell when someone's going to their bag because they're changing it up every time. I don't call it a bag. I call it a book. And I call it a book with pages. And people like to say they go into the bag, but when you go into the bag, you don't know what you're grabbing. You're just randomly pulling shit out and you're just trying to make it happen. The book is chronologically put down with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe that's more of a bag than anything else, but no one's ever thought LeBron had a bag because he's never needed it. And I think that's always been the argument. When you're bigger, stronger, and faster, and you can't stop me from getting one way, I don't need to do all this other stuff. And the same with Kevin Durant. You wouldn't consider Kevin Durant to have an actual bag. He's 7 foot. He can shoot very, very, very well. He doesn't need to do a lot of shit. Kyrie Irving, he has a bag. He has a.
That's what I was telling EJ. That's funny. Kyrie was our biggest bag guy. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, because it's not ball handling, right? Everyone thinks that having a bag is ball handling. It's not. It's footwork. It's ball placement. It's how you set up your shots, how clean you get your shots. And I think everyone's getting it confused because they just see a bunch of kids out here dribbling fast and making moves and like, oh, he has a bag. It's like, but he didn't go nowhere and he missed a shot. Right? So there's not a lot of bag there. If you can efficiently get buckets with no problem while doing multiple different moves without anyone knowing them.
It's interesting. Last night during the game, the broadcaster said, they're talking about Benedict Mathurin. He's got a bag. To me, I'm like, they're listening to the podcast just like the rest of us. And isn't it funny, Rashad, how podcasting is now influencing the discussion at every level?
Absolutely. Because everyone's kind of trying to find information from different levels now. I think everyone wants to be more intelligent about what they talk about. So they go around and finding all the different perspectives that they can add to conversations that they're having. And I think it's important for even guys like you, man, that you guys have perspectives that everyday people agree with. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you know what? I fucking agree. Now, a lot of times you guys are wrong because you haven't been there. And Definitely. The conversation is the conversation, like a barbershop, where we don't care who's done it and who hasn't. But when you enter a conversation with someone who does, the conversation changes.
Yeah. Hey, last question, Rashad, and thanks so much for your time today. It's been phenomenal. A guy who does have a bag that we all know is Michael Beasley, who had that infamous one-on-one game with Lance Stevenson. There's been these stories about how great a one-on-one player Michael Beasley is. If you had to take one retired player, and you can include yourself in this, one retired player to face Michael Beasley, to take him off that king. He's the king of one-on-one right now. You're wearing the crown. Is there anybody you'd want to see face Michael Beasley in a one-on-one game? Retired player.
Oh,
I see you wearing the crown. I'm wondering if you're going to get out there and lace him up.
No, I have the crown already. I don't have to. I don't have to do anything. They know. My acumen is I'm 6'4", he's 6'9", and it's going to be a long night for everybody. It don't matter, right? So I'd like to see him and Melo. I'd like him calling out Melo.
That's a battle.
Because he's already took down LeBron. He takes down Melo. They're trying to line up Joe Johnson, which would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
I think the conversation is going to be, man, what did y'all do to Michael Beasley's career, man? Somebody's responsible.
Rashad, thank you so much for the time. I hope we get to talk to you again soon. And the insight, unbelievable. The King,
sure.
Great to see you. Thanks so much for everything. Again, Gil's Arena, you can't miss it. EJ, are you satisfied now? You got an answer? Who can take out Beasley?
That was the answer I was looking for. I was like, Michael Beasley, he's the man, and somebody's got to face him.
Yep.
And I think Melo will be a battle.
Well, that's your guy, Melo.
Yeah.
All right, we got a break.
Former teammates.
Coming up next, we'll wrap up the Indianapolis Mount Olympus right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai, the all-new, all-electric Hyundai Ioniq. Oh, God. Ioniq 9. I-O-N-I-Q.
Ioniq
9. I saw one of these on the street the other day. They're super sweet, by the way. Space for up to 7. Range for miles. Okay. Nico is on the other side of the glass today, and Manny is executive producing. Now, I said something to Nico the other day, and I want a little follow-up on this. I said, do you have a girlfriend? And he said, yes.
Nice.
I said, oh, that's disappointing. He looked at me kind of funny. Then I said, because we need a wingman for Manny. Because Manny is now famously single. We've been talking about it all week. Manny's birthday is tomorrow. He's not going out and looking for a date. He is going to play video games and watch the game on his phone.
You all envy me.
Later on in the day, Nico pulled me aside. He said, like, just because I have a girlfriend doesn't mean I can't be a good wingman.
Yeah.
So do you want a wingman who is in a committed relationship? Is that an ideal wingman? Because he won't be competition, but will his heart be into it? That's my question. And also, too, if he really wants to be a wingman, how committed is this relationship? Jump to mind, not to get you in any trouble, Nico.
Wow. That was a leap there.
I don't know. Nico seemed awfully interested in going to the bars with Manny.
Well, no, I think that, like, sometimes you want a little action, not necessarily action for yourself, but just getting out there and have, so you want to be action. I don't think it's dangerous. No,
you want to be action adjacent. I don't know if you hang around the action, you might accidentally trip into some action.
I feel like the most active wingmen and women usually are people in relationships. I feel like they're usually very much like they're go-getters. They're like, oh, we're gonna go after this. We're gonna do whatever. If that person is single, I feel like they're gonna be looking for themselves too. They're definitely gonna be looking for themselves. And they also may give you a pick that's kind of like, I'm gonna give you like the hamburger while I go after the filet mignon. Like they may say, hey, that girl is great for you.
I gotta tell you,
meanwhile, like 2 beers Jessica Alba is sitting around the corner or something like that.
2 beers in, there's nothing wrong with a good hamburger.
I actually have more fun. Follow up on that. I have more fun flirting with girls when I'm in a relationship because there's no nerves.
Easy. Exactly.
I don't got to worry about it.
But but you understand what you're setting up. Like, right. Nico, you're cool. I got a girlfriend. I got nothing to lose here. It feels like that would make you a more attractive person, and therefore you might run into an uncomfortable situation where a girl is hitting on you.
And then I just pass her over to Manny.
There you go.
But then she's going to be like, Manny, you're no Nico.
Oh,
Understandable. Understandable. Nico's younger and has red hair, a little bit more better looking. I understand.
That's harsh. You're no Nico.
No. So, Nico, do you want to take Manny out for his birthday tomorrow?
I would love to.
You're taking me out?
Of course.
What
By
are you
the
trying
way,
to do afterwards?
When I posed this to Andrea about like Manny going out to get a girl for his birthday, she was like, "You don't go on a date on your birthday. That's pretentious."
No, you go to find a date in this case because there's no date available as far as I know. All right. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Manny.
T-J for that one.
EJ, great job in the big chair today, even though I disagree with you on pretty much everything here. Okay. Maggie will be back later.
Bye, Cat.